All right, you and I are about to witness the story of Kim Jun-woo, the world's very first double S rank hunter. A reporter asks for advice on this high-difficulty dungeon, wondering what tips he has for rookie hunters. But inside his head, our main character is just thinking about how it has been ages since they last sent him out on a real mission. Despite his total silence, the media somehow swarmed the dungeon entrance anyway. Our hero knows exactly what is going on. This is a massive scoop, and these journalists are desperate to get their big break. He smoothly apologizes, telling them he needs to focus on clearing the zone. Looking at their faces, he can tell they completely expected this textbook, professional response from him. Still, not wanting to leave them empty-handed, he throws them a bone. In a loud, confident voice, he declares that his team will always prioritize the safety of civilians above everything else, and that will never change. As he turns his back to walk away, the reporters immediately start praising the stellar attitude of the #1 ranker. Kim thinks he is leaving on a high note, until someone shouts out, asking about an assault on a janitor. His manager instantly freezes. Now pay attention here, because this reporter claims our hero slammed an elderly janitor against a wall. He mockingly brags about having all the details, claiming he is actually close friends with the victim. With a smug, malicious grin, he says it is amazing how the top-ranked hunter can beat up an old man and completely bury the story without a single article ever being published. The crowd of journalists instantly erupts into hushed whispers and gossip. Kim, completely caught off guard, is so stunned by the sudden accusation that he cannot even react. He simply turns back around, dismissing the claim as a baseless, unpleasant rumor. The cheeky reporter just mockingly wishes him luck. And with that, let us look at how this supernatural world actually works. The Hunter Association was built to defend the country from dungeons and monsters. Over time, they gathered top-tier individuals with supernatural powers and divided them into 4 specialized teams. The primary force is the Operations Team, the hunters tasked with fighting the beasts. And among them, Operations Team 1 stands as the ultimate elite squad. They boast a perfect 100% success rate, with every member holding a top national rank. Their captain is our main character, who is currently fuming while reading the nasty online comments about his alleged assault. Curious, his assistant asks what happened. Highly irritated, he snaps back that he told her to keep that incident completely quiet. She quickly defends herself, swearing nothing was leaked, leaving Kim to wonder where the leak came from. He demands to know who that reporter works for, but she explains the kid is just an ordinary citizen. Stunned, our hero wonders how a random kid even found out. His assistant suggests he might actually be the son of the dungeon cleanup crew's leader, Park Ji-man. She warns him that the real problem is this is not an isolated event. Multiple witnesses from other past incidents are starting to speak out, so she suggests he stay home and lay low. Furious, with a chilling look in his eyes, Kim growls that he despises anyone who gets in his way. He orders her to handle it immediately before his entire reputation is completely destroyed. She promises to do her best. Swapping subjects, Kim demands to know what the head of the association has said about the scandal. She replies that the director is too busy to comment, and Kim scoffs, saying the man needs to be replaced. He decides he must take matters into his own hands, realizing his past achievements mean nothing to the higher-ups. His partner reassures him that his rank remains safe despite the public outrage. Crossing his arms, Kim remembers how his anger boiled over the moment he exited the dungeon and read those articles. His teammates had panicked, trying to block him from hunting down that loudmouth reporter. He realized that even after getting into the car to cool off, his burning rage refused to die down. I know what you're thinking, how could a savior fall so fast? It is painful to watch years of heroic achievements vanish in an instant over one scandal. Gritting his teeth, he sees over anyone daring to cross him. Breaking his train of thought, his assistant asks why he actually did it. Our main character argues that the trash grabbed him first. Confused, she asks why a simple worker would do that. She knows he looks down on the cleanup crew, but they have never clashed like this before. Frustrated, Kim admits he barely even remembers the incident. He then orders his assistant to drag that loudmouth reporter into the association headquarters the moment they arrive so he can deal with him. Looking down, the captain mutters that these low-lives are just trying to drag down a successful hunter while the world is busy fighting monsters. Suddenly, he freezes as a massive truck barrels straight toward their vehicle. Both of them stare in absolute horror as the giant vehicle closes the distance, seconds away from a fatal crash. Reacting instantly, our hero activates his time overdrive skill. Thanks to his god-tier reflexes, their car narrowly swerves past the oncoming truck. Drenched in sweat, he knows a split second later would have left them painted across the asphalt. Furious, he asks if the truck driver was completely drunk, but his terrified assistant can only stammer in shock. Stepping out onto the road, Kim snaps that he was already having the worst day ever. Stalking toward the vehicle, he demands to know who is behind the wheel. Suddenly, metal restraints burst from the pavement like mechanical arms, instantly snapping onto his wrists. He realizes with horror that these are high-tech power suppressors designed to completely seal away his abilities. Without giving him a second to breathe, the truck suddenly reverses right toward him. Shaking with fear, he desperately tries to activate his skills, but nothing works. The truck slams hard into his back, making him scream through gritted teeth. Before he can even process the pain, a second truck speeds right at him, turning our hero into a human sandwich. The violent collision triggers a massive explosion as several shadowy figures surround the wreckage. Unbelievably, our hero starts laughing, muttering that today is just a completely terrible day. Sporting a terrifying, demonic expression, he growls, demanding to know who is behind this ambush. Around him, heavily armed mercenary forces lock their sights on him. They immediately open fire. Kim realizes this is a meticulously planned ambush that would easily kill any normal hunter, but he has survived thousands of deadly battles against vicious monsters. Those brutal dungeon fights constantly pushed him to the absolute brink of survival. He grins, repeating a simple promise to himself he is not going to die in a place like this. Forced onto his knees, he prepares to unleash his counterattack. But his confidence shatters when they roll out a massive anti-awakener cannon called Titan. Bleeding and genuinely terrified, Kim mutters that they are taking things a bit too far. But before he can even finish, a brutal shot blasts straight through his chest. System notifications flash across his vision, tracking his fatal injuries and calculating his odds of survival. But the cold digital voice delivers the final verdict: the player has died. To hide the evidence, the assassins dump his lifeless body straight into the dark water. As Kim sinks into the abyss, a secret system prompt triggers, activating a hidden emergency skill. A massive, glowing screen materializes in the dark, revealing his secret ability, Karma. So we end here, with him sent 10 years back to pack monsters into trash bags, assigned a low-class job based on his terrible karma. Trust me, you'll want to see how he survives. Alright, you and I are diving into a wild story about an SSS rank hunter. On screen, he looks relieved, seeing his job assignment is complete while people clean the dungeon. The system reveals his new gig is with the Supernatural Dimension Management Association, specifically the Dungeon Cleaning Squad. Drenched in sweat, the now younger boy complains about how brutally exhausting the work is. Kim flashes back to the terrifying moment his life was taken, utterly powerless to stop it. He suddenly wakes up, gasping in complete despair, realizing what a horrific nightmare he just had. He wonders how long he slept for his body to feel this incredibly stiff. But as he looks around, the boy quickly realizes he has absolutely no idea where he is. The place looks more like a dirty pigsty than a proper 26-square-meter studio. He mutters to himself that this tiny room is definitely smaller than his actual bathroom. Confused, he wonders if this could be Young's place, but quickly dismisses the idea. Staring blankly at the filthy toilet, Kim begins to feel genuinely terrified. Suddenly, a notification pops up confirming his death and unlocking a secret ability since the conditions were met. Reading this, the boy chuckles, thinking it feels just like some fantasy comic book. But looking in the mirror, his jaw drops, his face looks exactly like it did 10 years ago, back when he was 18. Shivering, the protagonist decides to open the system interface. He discovers his secret ability is Karma, which forcefully sent him back 10 years in time without any option to cancel. Stunned by the notification, Kim collapses straight onto the floor. It was no dream. He really did die. Gritting his teeth, he remembers that in his previous life, at age 28, he was a famous rising star hunter in the spotlight. Now, he is just a lowly dungeon janitor. To undo this, the system demands he become the Secretary General of the International Association in just 4 years. Pay close attention here. This is the ultimate catch: if he fails this insane quest, he will remain a lowly janitor forever, rotting away in this new reality. Remember, the International Supernatural Association rules over all global branches. Its Secretary General wields far more political power than even the President of the United States. Even as a double S rank hunter, Kim never got close to that position. Standing up, he decides the task is completely impossible, so he is just going to ignore it. Who cares about karma anyway? He will just climb back to the top as a hunter from scratch. But when he tries to check his status, his powers are completely locked. Suddenly, another pop-up announces he has unlocked a new trait. Smiling, he hopes for a combat skill, only to discover it is a passive trait making him obsessed with cleaning. Hours later, Kim somehow manages to scrub the entire filthy place clean. Collapsing onto his bed, he wonders how he went from a triple S rank hunter to a janitor overnight. With a heavy sigh, he questions whether he should just accept his fate and settle for a quiet life of scrubbing floors. But the burning pride of a top-tier hunter makes that impossible. He needs answers. Who were those masked men that killed him? They certainly did not look like any official military unit. Suddenly, his old phone starts ringing. Answering it, a stern man introduces himself as Park, the cleaning crew team leader, asking if Kim is slacking off instead of working today. Kim is completely lost. The manager, completely clueless about the situation, snaps that Kim is already an hour late with his report. The word dungeon instantly triggers the memory of his new system job. Park chuckles, saying the last gig was tough, but this one will be easy. In the background, a coworker complains about useless newbies quitting on day one, saying Kim should show some respect. Hearing this, Kim wonders how mere janitors dare talk trash about him. The team leader tells the others to shut up, defending the protagonist by saying he might have a valid reason for being late. We need to watch this part closely. He tells Kim to call if things get tough, and hearing that familiar name suddenly triggers a massive wave of memories. Park kindly suggests he take the day off to rest, but Kim quickly replies that he is already on his way and will arrive shortly. Riding the bus, Kim realizes he has no high-end clothes, no sports car, and cannot even afford a basic taxi because his wallet is completely empty. It is clear his social status has reset, and his infamous clash with Park has not actually happened yet in this timeline. Reflecting on the past, he holds no personal grudge. But if Park was indeed the mastermind behind his assassination, everything changes because that supposed accident felt way too orchestrated to be random. The killers possessed a state-of-the-art anti-supernatural jamming device to block his powers, along with specialized Titan firearms designed specifically for anti-human combat and high-level monster subjugation. Gear like that was far too expensive for a simple janitor to afford. But maybe someone hired him, especially since his son clearly hated Kim. Annoyed, Kim wonders if a minor physical shove even counts as assault these days. He grumbles that the old man should have listened when he was speaking nicely. We flash back to the past when Park first introduced himself as the head cleaning supervisor. Intrigued, Kim asks what the man wants. Park explains he heard Kim suggested cutting down the cleaning staff, even though they are already completely overwhelmed by the current workload. Uninterested, Kim asks if that is all he wanted. He coldly adds that it was merely a passing suggestion with no real authority. Park begs him to reconsider, knowing how much sway a high-rank hunter holds over the association. Kim quietly admits he knew his feedback would reach the janitors, but he did not expect this annoying confrontation. Out loud, he asks Park if he knows why lizards voluntarily sever their own tails. It is a highly painful, desperate move, but they do it because survival comes first. They do not care about the pain because it is their last resort. Confused, Park tries to reply, but Kim cuts him off, stating that every human mistakenly thinks they are essential. He tells the man to face reality. The association is in financial trouble, which means the elite hunters, the ones actually protecting civilians from deadly dungeons, deserve to get paid. Since the organization's main job is protecting the public, they must prioritize funding the combatants who put their lives on the line. If hunters do not get paid, they will not fight. Shouting, Park says Kim is crossing the line, but Kim retorts that the cleaning crew barely contributes anyway, infuriating Park. Unbothered, Kim tells him to deal with it. Park snaps back, declaring his team takes pride in keeping people safe, and since the association prioritizes civilian lives, that includes his hardworking staff too. Kim sighs, stating he thought his point was already perfectly clear. Instead of being grateful to be safe, Park chooses to complain. It is only thanks to active hunters that janitors can clean dungeons safely and feed themselves like useless parasites in the first place. Furious, Park grabs Kim by the collar, demanding to know what the hell he just said. Without hesitation, Kim uses his psychic force to slam the older man straight into the wall, and that's where we leave it for now. He thinks it was just a simple shove, but trust me, you and I know this petty mistake is going to cost him big time. Let's dive back into the action, right in front of a yellow-ranked dungeon. With the Foxtrot Centipede boss waiting inside, Kim realizes he really has traveled 10 years back in time. Out of nowhere, Park waves him over. Looking at him with a dark expression, our main character is now dead certain this team leader killed him, even if it happened in another timeline. Watching Park walk up, Kim confirms this guy is exactly as he remembers him. Just a normal, middle-aged dude around 50 who looks completely harmless. The team leader slaps Kim on the back, happily telling the group he knew the kid would show. Sang just scoffs and mocks him, saying of course he did. According to him, Kim only showed up because he got caught trying to bail. Jen joins in, reminding everyone that Kim claimed he was totally useless, which was true. Confused, So Yan asks why they even need another teammate when 4 of them are plenty. Park shuts down the chatter, telling everyone they only have 45 minutes left because Kim was an hour late. Wanting to avoid any more complaints, the older man tells them to get inside. He then hands Kim a piece of gear, leaving the young man completely baffled. It's a gas mask. Seeing Kim just freeze, Park asks if there's an issue. Shaking his head, Kim admits he has no clue what a dungeon cleaner actually does. We find out that the Supernatural Dimension Management Association of South Korea is split into 4 main divisions: Control, Hunter Support, Operations, and the Cleaning Team. While the Control Team monitors dungeons and gathers intel, the Hunter Support Team manages gear, builds weapons, and handles all operational logistics. The Operations Team has actual hunters who slay the beasts inside. Then, there's the Disinfection and Cleanup Crew, a group our main character never even knew existed. Finding the whole setup weird, Kim wonders why they're trying to look so busy. Suddenly, Park calls out, warning him it's way too dangerous to wander off alone. Turning around, Kim says he was just heading to the boss room as planned. Park insists the room isn't in that direction, but Kim's confident disagreement leaves the others shocked. So Yen snaps that if he doesn't want to work, he should just say it. Meanwhile, Jen admits Kim is really starting to get on his nerves. Since Kim doesn't seem to care, Sang says they should just ignore him, but not before handing him a map. Now, pay attention here, these official maps are drawn by the actual hunters who cleared the dungeon, so they should be completely accurate. Even with the map, Kim insists he's right and openly questions if the control team is really that incompetent. Garing in disbelief, Sang calls him crazy, but Park asks how he's so sure. Kim claims it's not about confidence. He's about to reveal he cleared this place in his past life, but shuts up knowing no one would believe him. Shoving his hands in his pockets, he casually tells them to lead the way, leaving the crew even more annoyed and utterly confused. Walking beside Park, Kim asks what he meant by only having 45 minutes left. The older man explains that's the exact time they have before the gate closes. Keeping a straight face, Kim recalls that cleared dungeons naturally dissolve after 2 hours. He asks why they're wasting time cleaning a place destined to vanish, which makes Park laugh before explaining that cleared dungeons don't actually disappear right away. They just enter a resting phase until new monsters spawn. If a dungeon reopens covered in rotting monster corpses, it becomes a massive hazard because hunters can easily get lost. On top of that, the toxic gas from decaying bodies is lethal and can block the pathways. Kim nods, understanding the logic. But Park proudly emphasizes that their job keeps hunters focused on the battle. It's a role to take pride in, because without cleaners, hunters couldn't survive. To Kim, this all sounds like absolute nonsense. As Park blathers on about hauling corpses, sanitizing the area, and even rescuing stranded hunters, Kim mentally scoffed, having never heard of such a ridiculous thing in his entire past life. At last, the group reaches the boss room marked on their official map. Sang steps up and swings the door open. But you and I are about to see their faces fall. It's completely empty. The boss room isn't even there. Kim coldly reminds them he warned them about this, while the crew panics to figure out what went wrong. He suggests they pack up and leave, but the team frantically huddles to see if they can somehow clean the actual room in just 22 minutes. Sang insists it's better to try than face complaints, and Jang and So Yan quickly agree. Dumbfounded by their recklessness, Kim asks what they're even planning. Park patiently explains they're just figuring out how to finish the job on time. Raising his voice, Kim demands to know why they're risking it when there are only 22 minutes left and this dungeon won't reopen for a year. Laughing, Park casually remarks they'll just get trapped inside then. Losing his mind, the boy yells that they must be clinically insane to risk their lives just for some cleaning duty. But the team leader says this is just another Tuesday and tells them to move. Brushing past Kim, Sang mutters that if the kid isn't going to help, he shouldn't expect any handouts. Only Kim and So Yan remain behind. She gives him a long, silent look before turning to follow the group. Kim is absolutely seething. In 15 years of hunting, he never failed a single raid, and now he's getting disrespected by literal janitors. Deciding to stay, he points out a hidden pathway. Sang sighs, calling it useless. But Kim tells him to shut his mouth and listen. He explains the actual boss room is exactly 500 meters away, and using his shortcut, it will take them only 5 minutes to run there. He declares he's leading the way, and anyone who wants to survive should follow. Watching him bolt, the team hesitates for a second before running after him. Soon, they reach the spot. Standing before the real boss room, the team is completely speechless to find the foxtrot centipede exactly where Kim said it would be. Staring at the 10-meter-long beast, Sang quietly admits the kid was right. Examining the bloody chamber, Kim estimates a brutal battle went down here, likely costing the lives of 5 to 6 hunters. Still, the raid party managed to strike the beast's weak spot right on its forehead. The black-haired cleaner urges everyone to move fast since time is running out. But Kim suddenly blocks him, sensing that this colossal centipede isn't entirely dead yet. The team panics, demanding to know how that's possible, while Kim sighs at the massive headache of having to fight this thing without his active abilities. But then, the massive monster crashes to the ground, totally motionless. Turns out, it was just drawing its very last breath. Breathing a sigh of relief, Jang chuckles and tells Kim to step aside since it's probably his first time seeing a real boss monster. Kim looks at him blankly, but Jang patronizingly adds that it's fine if the kid is too scared to touch the corpse. This smug attitude completely sets Kim off, making him want to show them what he's truly capable of. Stepping up with a blade, the crew nervously asks what he's doing. Bracing himself, Kim calmly says that if they're going to dismantle this beast, they need to do it right so nobody shatters their wrist. He points out the blade will only slide easily through segments 3, 6, and 12, and since the nerves are still firing, they should just ignore any sudden spasms. His precise orders leave everyone speechless. Trust me, you and I are about to watch him show these cleaners how a pro actually works. All right, you and I are about to dive into one of the wildest dungeon cleaning stories. After some yelling, our main character warns everyone not to step on the sticky beast juice. Sank asks Park if they showed him the file, but Park says no, leaving the young man stunned that a rookie knows all this. The older man adds that the info is not even in the official file, leaving the rookie cleaner completely speechless. Time passes, and Kim's crazy cleaning skill goes into overdrive, stripping the giant centipede down to its bare bones. Our main character sighs in relief after finishing, totally confused about why he feels such a massive sense of accomplishment. Park walks up, asking if this really is the boy's first day on the job. As the others stare in shock, Jen laughs that a true prodigy just joined their squad, jokingly warning Sang to watch his back. The leader shouts that they have only 5 minutes left before the gate shuts down. Grabbing their heavy gear, the cleanup crew successfully wraps up another dirty job. Laughing, Park admits the cleanup went way easier than expected. But suddenly, a drop of that sticky red slime drips down Kim's leg, gluing him instantly to the floor even though he knew he should avoid it. Super annoyed, he tells everyone to back off because this substance behaves like concrete glue, just like he remembers from his past life as a hunter. Back then, he had no idea that simple heat could melt the goop. When he tries to activate his legendary Hellfire ability, he realizes it's still locked, leaving him completely defenseless and utterly screwed. A worried Park asks if Jang has any rope on him. Grabbing it immediately, they tie it around Kim's waist and start pulling with all their might, turning the rescue into a desperate game of tug-of-war. Now pay attention, because this is where the panic truly sets in. With only 1 minute and 55 seconds left, the boy is still stuck solid. Park tells him to strip off his suit, but So Yan warns him that the toxic gas is too lethal. Terrified, the leader asks if she wants all of them to be trapped inside forever. With wide eyes, Kim wonders why they would all stay behind when he is the only one who cannot move. He remembers that lizards sacrifice their tails to survive, so maybe they should just leave him behind. But breaking his train of thought, Park screams at him to get out of that suit immediately. Obeying, Kim mutters that these guys have less survival instinct than actual lizards, but sadly, the plan fails completely. Taking control, Park commands the squad to evacuate and save themselves. Sang yells that he is being ridiculous, but the leader barks back that it is an order. Meanwhile, the black-haired boy counts down, shouting there are only 10 seconds left. As the timer ticks down, Park rushes back to Kim, determined to sacrifice himself so the kid can escape. After a chaotic scramble, the only things left on the ground are pants and a single boot. Outside, the crew waits in absolute agony, praying their leader makes it out alive. The two of them are desperately running, but with only 3 seconds on the clock, the portal is practically gone. Suddenly, the portal snaps shut, and everyone's jaws hit the floor when they realize the duo escaped at the very last millisecond. Sang, So Yin, and Jen rush over to the leader, crying tears of joy. The leader grins while Kim collapses on the dirt, completely stunned that he almost died cleaning a dungeon with absolutely zero monsters. Offering a helping hand, the boss asks if he is okay, adding that the poison gas was weaker than expected and thanking him for surviving his first shift. With his jaw wide open, our hero asks what he means, only to hear the absolute worst news ever. They still have 5 more dungeons to clean today. In Korea, there are 26 combat teams and over 11,300 registered active hunters right now. I know what you were thinking. 33 dungeons a day? That is completely brutal. But with only 5 cleaning teams nationwide, each squad is pushed to the absolute limit. And this is the nightmare job Kim just signed up for. When the brutal shift finally ends, the crew suggests grabbing some dinner together to recover. Sang says he is totally down if Park buys, but the boss quickly fires back that they are going Dutch. Park invites Kim along, offering to buy him something special since he is the MVP of the day, But proving that teamwork is definitely not his style, the boy flatly rejects the offer, leaving the entire crew completely speechless at his blunt refusal. In his mind, our hero reminds himself that he has absolutely zero interest in making friends with these people. He tries to find an excuse, but Park kindly tells him there is no pressure. Sweating nervously, Kim claims that is not the issue, but decides to give up, turning around to wave a quick goodbye. The boss is left scratching his head, but still bids him a good night. Su-Yen smiles, telling him she will see him tomorrow and to get home safe, leaving Kim deeply reflective about their kindness. Later that night, laying in bed, he realizes there is no way Park was the one who murdered him in his previous life. That man is just too nice, which means the killer must be someone else with a deadly grudge. He begins listing potential enemies: Minju Jin, the rookie he used to curse out and eventually abandon and hang from the control team, whose shins he constantly kicked during arguments. Annoyed, he groans about having way too many enemies, but it does not matter anymore because he has regressed. If he wants true vengeance, he has to unlock his karma skill and reclaim his former life. But to pull that off, he has to rise to the rank of Secretary General of the International Association, a nearly impossible task now that he is just a lowly janitor with zero access to the control team. Sitting up, Kim summons his system menu. He suddenly remembers a detail he missed earlier that morning: the specific conditions required to unlock his locked combat abilities. Laughing, he tells himself he won't have to stay a garbage collector for long, only to freeze when he sees that every single unlock condition is tied directly to the cleaning team. Furious, he crushes a water bottle, realizing he is literally forced to live and breathe cleaning. When he drops the bottle, his cleaning OCD skill immediately triggers, forcing him to pick it up, confirming his hilarious new reality. Unable to resist the system's urge, Kim jumps out of bed and begins scrubbing every single speck of dust in his room, unable to relax for even a single second. Suddenly, a system notification pops up. His Super Boost speed ability is now unlocked, all because he completed his first grueling workday on the job. Just like that, a whole week flies by. Kim is now cramming himself onto crowded, dirty city buses every single morning, having officially spent 7 days cleaning up after hunters. We learn that in 7 days, he has cleaned 25 dungeons, burned through 60 liters of chemical bleach, dissected 30 monsters, and unlocked several fresh skills. His new speed ability is insanely efficient for movement, but it only really shines when combined with actual offensive physical moves. Since the system only lets him activate it in live combat, he cannot even practice with it. Shrugging, he admits that a restricted skill is still far better than having absolutely nothing. But making 60 million won a year and rising to the nation's #1 profession is going to be incredibly difficult, especially while holding a mop instead of a sword. While some requirements are simple, they are still super vague. The easiest one is catching the Hunter Association's eye, which would be a piece of cake if he were still a powerful double S rank hunter. But now, who's going to take a lowly janitor seriously? Feeling stuck, Kim considers contacting his old high-ranking comrades to build some leverage, but quickly realizes tracking down those top-tier elites is not going to be easy. After all, Korea is packed with over 10,000 active hunters. Suddenly, looking out the bus window, Kim lets out an accidental scream, startling a passenger sleeping right on his shoulder. Realizing he missed his stop, Kim rushes to the site, only to find just 2 of his squad members waiting there. Sang retorts that Kim cannot talk, explaining that the boss is out buying more cleaning chemicals. When our hero notes they are 10 minutes late, Sang smirks and asks why Kim just arrived himself. Kim admits he missed his stop, so Sang smiles and offers him a coffee. He realizes Sang is acting totally different now, and trust me, you and I will have to wait and see what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving straight into a dungeon where absolutely nothing goes according to our main character's plans. He skips the coffee and heads right inside, only to learn the raid is still ongoing. Kim realizes he has never cleared this dungeon before. Still, it is only a blue-grade raid at best. There is absolutely no reason for standard hunters to be struggling this hard to finish the job. As he waits, he grumbles that they are all completely pathetic and foolish. He even considers stepping in to help, but he is about to realize that would have been a massive mistake. 30 minutes pass, and our guy is absolutely furious that the hunters are taking this long. Finally, they start walking out of the portal, and Kim decides they are all low-rank trash who do not deserve their pay. Suddenly, a flash of long dark hair catches his eye, and he spots a familiar face. It is the hunter Minju, who looks more like a glamorous actress than a fighter. It turns out she was once a direct subordinate on Kim's old squad. He stares in utter disbelief, wondering why on earth she is here. Feeling his intense gaze, Minju walks over and asks if he has some kind of problem. Feeling awkward, he mutters no, while internally screaming that she was the absolute last person he ever wanted to see. While he wants to regroup with his old team, Minju is a total exception. She despised him for no obvious reason, especially after he told her to retire due to her shoulder injury, which got him cursed out completely. He only said it to protect her, but her pride was just too high, despite her elite talent. Out of nowhere, Suvian calls out to Kim and asks if he actually knows the hunter he was staring at. Denying everything, our main character claims she simply reminded him of someone. Smiling nervously, the cleaner admits she only asked because of his terrifying scowl, making her think Minju was an angry ex-girlfriend. Annoyed, Kim asks what she is talking about, but she quickly laughs it off as a joke. Park then walks up and questions the tense atmosphere, but our guy insists nothing is going on. Sang chimes in, joking that the kid just spotted his ex. Shaking it off, Kim tells everyone it is time to work. Stepping inside, they find a blue-gray dungeon modeled after a civilian city block. Kim reveals the only detail he knows is that the boss is a humanoid creature. He then recalls how his massive vault of dungeon knowledge used to get him bombarded with endless questions. Park starts giving out orders, emphasizing that they must thoroughly inspect and clean every single corner because of this specific dungeon layout. Now pay attention to this part, because the boss room is where things get truly bizarre. The team leader is completely shocked by how human the creature looks. It is Vega, a female monster standing at only 160 centimeters. Kim mentions they can carry her out intact since chopping her up feels a bit too morbid. Finding this suggestion highly unusual, Park asks why, but our hero quickly brushes it off despite a lingering, bad feeling. After all, the Vega he remembers is not a major threat as long as a hunter watches out for her rapid-fire movements. So, Minju should never have struggled like this. She is an elite B-rank hunter who would easily be S-rank if not for her injury, possessing sword skills even superior to his. A blue-grade boss should have been easy. Park suddenly yells at Kim to stop spacing out and help him lift the heavy monster. Walking over, Kim tells himself that whatever she is going through is none of his business anymore. But the moment he spots the strange marks on Vega's body, his blood runs cold. Later, Kim wakes up at 5 in the morning after barely 2 hours of sleep, cursing his awful, exhausting new schedule. Incredibly cranky, the young man demands to know why they are being summoned this early. Park admits he is clueless, but has no choice, which does absolutely nothing to calm Kim's rising temper. Rubbing his eyes, Kim feels entirely justified in his rage, especially since they have been waiting over an hour. Suvian walks up, noting that he looks like an absolute zombie. Kim sighs in agreement and asks if she is exhausted too. She smiles, claiming she is always bursting with energy, but looking at the massive dark circles under her eyes, he quietly advises her to take it easy. Finally, after a massive 90-minute delay, the raiding party begins to move out. Kim feels a sudden jolt of anxiety, wondering why of all the dungeons, he keeps crossing paths with her. You feel that tension too, right? Neither says a single word, but their deadly glares speak volumes. Standing nearby, the hostile huntress demands to know why he is blocking her path. Gritting his teeth, Kim recalls what happens to her 10 years from now, wondering if he should warn her. Ultimately, he realizes he has no reason to care. We flash back to when he visited her in the hospital, getting irritated that she did not even bother to sit up to greet him. Stepping closer to her bed, he scolds her, asking how a professional swordsman could possibly ignore severe muscle inflammation like this. Instead of training her left hand, she relied entirely on her right arm and completely ruined her shoulder. Defiantly, she glares up and demands to know why he never warned her earlier. Caught off guard, Kim snaps that she is only complaining because she regrets letting things get this bad. But since the damage is done, she must retire from the hunter profession immediately. Slapping down the official paperwork, he coldly adds that the entire association has already approved this decision, leaving her with absolutely no room to argue. Showing zero sympathy, Kim warns that if she pushes any further, even basic daily tasks will become impossible. Enraged, she screams that her injury is fine and that he knows exactly why she ended up like this. Staying firm, Kim retorts that in her current state, she is nothing but a liability to the squad, adding that things would be different if she had simply spoken up about her pain. Scowling, she asks if he truly believes she never tried. Shouting through tears, she reveals she brought it up multiple times and even requested a full medical exam, but he brutally dismissed her, claiming everyone on the team was in pain, forcing her to hide her agony and endure it for years. In the end, he is the one responsible. Infuriated, Kim asks how her own negligence is his fault. She is the one who should have looked after her body instead of mindlessly returning to duty just because he ordered her to do so. Hanging her head, the shattered huntress insists she can still swing a sword. She claims she just needs a couple of days of physical therapy to bounce right back. But Kim coldly fires back that she is useless until she heals, calling her a parasite to the team. She quietly asks if he ever once viewed her as a teammate. She scoffs at her own stupid question, admitting she always knew she was just a tool to him, and that she has hated him from day one. Kim snaps that she is being highly disrespectful to her superior. Weeping, she retorts that it is the truth, because he has never treated his subordinates with respect. He always looked down on everyone with that same arrogant sneer. Fed up, she suddenly slaps Kim hard across the face, screaming at him to be born as a decent human in his next life, instead of an absolute bastard. Snapping back to reality, Kim silently admits he was a massive jerk. Still, he genuinely cannot recall her ever mentioning she was in pain back then. Honestly, seeing her push herself to the absolute limit like this is genuinely hard for us to watch. Resolving to change things, he calls out to get her attention, telling her she needs to strengthen the grip on her left hand. Annoyed, the huntress turns around and asks him what he is talking about. Kim explains that she puts far too much force into her right hand, placing extreme, unnecessary pressure on her shoulder. If she keeps this up, she will destroy her joints and completely ruin her career as a professional swordsman. All right, let's dive in. He explains she must use her left hand more to balance her weight and build strength. Barely reacting, the girl just mumbles a quick okay. Our hero realizes she does not take him seriously because he is just a janitor. He decides to walk away, simply telling her to get tested, since she is smart enough to figure it out. Baffled, the huntress wonders what his deal is. But the next day at the clinic, the doctor warns her it could have been a disastrous injury. Right then, she realizes that Quiet Cleaner actually knew his stuff. The physician explains her shoulder is heavily inflamed, warning that ignoring it would have ruined her career. Since they caught it early, he prescribes medicine, emphasizing that she must fix her stance by gripping tighter with her left hand. She instantly recalls that is exactly what the strange janitor told her. Meanwhile, we cut to Kim complaining about being worked to death, while his buddy Park just laughs at him. Beside them, another coworker asks how he kept his ex waiting out there. Looking up, our hero spots the huntress standing in the distance and wonders why on earth she showed up. Behind him, the other workers whisper about giving the couple some privacy, quickly saying goodbye before making a stealthy escape. Kim crosses his arms, grumbling that he is exhausted and needs to catch the final bus. Suddenly, she flashes her sword right over his shoulder, demanding to know who he really is. Shocked by her sheer audacity, he gets defensive, demanding to know what she is playing at. Cutting right to the chase, she points her blade and mentions her shoulder. Lying through his teeth, Kim claims he was just showing off with some random martial arts tips he read online. Watch closely right here, she asks if he is serious, since her unique sword technique is highly classified. In his head, our main character realizes he totally messed up by getting involved. There is no way a regular dungeon cleaner should know about this private style, making him look extremely suspicious. Quickly fabricating another lie, Kim claims he noticed unusual sword marks on the monster carcass that stood out from the rest. He points out that her right-handed strikes cut deep, but her follow-up techniques were surprisingly shallow. Since Vega is a boss famous for rapid attacks, the standard strategy is to use her speed to execute a counter. Yet, there were zero signs of that happening on the corpse. Thus, he figured out that her physical body simply failed to keep pace with the beast. Lowering her blade, the huntress admits her shoulders stiffened mid-fight. Kim warns that while these symptoms are nothing in daily life, they are an absolute disaster for a professional swordswoman. In his head, he chuckles, knowing he can offer this advice because he was actually the world's very first triple S rank hunter. Stunned, she gasps, assuming he is a mysterious freelance hunter. Our hero asks what crazy theory she is cooking up now. She claims she heard tales of elite, unranked freelancers who only show up in highly dangerous dungeons. He rejects the idea, reiterating he is no hunter. When she presses further, Kim scoffs, asking if she is blind. He tells her he is clearly just a janitor, who needs to sleep because he has a shift tomorrow. He realizes that if he still held his hunter title, she would never leave him alone. He quietly apologizes in his mind for being nothing but a simple sweeper now. Suddenly, she yells out a heartfelt thank you. He spins around in shock, never expecting gratitude from the proud Minju. Red-faced, she whispers something else, which we are quickly informed of. The following morning, inside a massive corporate building, we see she requests a temporary leave of absence, which immediately irritates her demanding supervisor. Drumming his fingers on his wooden desk, the chief sarcastically asks if she expects vacation time over a minor shoulder ache, scoffing that he never knew that was an option. Minju explains she intends to hone her skills, but Lee Su clearly doubts her excuses. Pressed to tell the truth, she admits she is taking private lessons to master her sword technique. Lee then asks if she found some legendary grandmaster, or maybe a new boyfriend. Irritated, she reveals her new master is actually a janitor from their dungeon cleanup crew. Utterly baffled, The chief asks if she really could not find anyone better to teach her. You and I both know how stubborn she is, as she declares she will handle her own path. But then the boss asks if that janitor told her to get checked, catching her off guard. She figures out the information leaked from the nurse she met at the hospital, and Angry Lee barks that the whole idea is absurd, since a lowly janitor can never teach an elite hunter. Minju sighs, admitting the guy has not even agreed to tutor her yet. Furious, her boss screams, asking if this is some kind of joke. She calmly replies that she will just ask him again. Seeing her resolve, Lee tells her she must return in a few weeks before they clear a massive dungeon. She bows, thanks him, and exits the room, leaving the frustrated boss alone. The boss mutters that their guild is declining, stressing that they must keep this quiet, especially from the captain of Team 2. He is forced to contact the cleaning division, a thought that makes his stomach turn. When a call connects, a staff member introduces himself, demanding to speak to the director about an urgent matter. A few days later, we see someone wearing a face mask hard at work. It is Kim, the cleaner inside a dungeon. Nearby, his coworker mutters that the guy has finally lost his mind. It turns out our hero is thrilled because a powerful skill randomly unlocked on its own. Park walks up, stating he usually tries not to get involved in other people's private lives. But why is that elite huntress hanging out with them? Kim casually explains he invited her, causing Park to scream that he already knows that. Our hero explains that since they have no idea when Jang is coming back, he decided to bring some extra hands to assist. Park is stressed because she is an elite hunter, but Kim knows bringing Minju along was not entirely his decision. We flash back to her on her knees, desperately begging him for lessons, which deeply annoyed him. After all, what kind of licensed hunter begs a janitor to teach them how to fight? Even so, Kim offered to consider it only if she helped clean, expecting her to walk away in disgust. Instead, with stars in her eyes, Minju asks if that is all she has to do. Kim realizes he completely misjudged her character, thinking she would possess the massive ego of a typical high-rank hunter. Suddenly, he notices So Yan staring right at him, glancing awkwardly between him and Minju. Covering his face in sheer embarrassment, our hero admits he never expected her to actually follow him around like a puppy. Suddenly, the girl shouts across the room, calling him professor and complaining that this stubborn dirt will not wash off. Walking over, he asks if she expected to clean using pure brute force. He explains that if two types of strawberry juice mix, you cannot clean them together. She must wash away the human strawberry juice first. Grabbing a scraper, Kim explains that the other residue is tough monster flesh, which requires heavy chemical cleaners. He advises scraping it up first with a dagger to gather it all, warning that the blade might get heavily corroded by the toxic monster strawberry juice if she is not careful. Listening intently, Minju nods and says she understands. Noticing her intense expression, Kim asks if she is having second thoughts about this dirty labor. Proving she is completely dedicated, she replies that she was simply reflecting on how deep the art of sanitation truly goes. Park jokes that Kim is finally a full-fledged cleaning instructor. And that is where we leave it for now. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving into the wild life of a former double S rank hunter who is now a proud dungeon cleaner. Even the team leader is impressed by how well the new huntress is doing. Watching from a distance, So-yoon clearly is not happy about this setup, but she keeps her mouth shut. A bit later, we see her calling Minju to head over to another section of the dungeon. Park gets anxious looking at all those dead bodies, but our main character says it is a great chance to work alongside a hunter and promises they will both return shortly. The dark-haired guy tells Kim he is sure Minju will come out on top. Without missing a beat, Kim agrees. Meanwhile, So-yoon is quietly stressing out, wondering why her impulses made her drag the girl here. She wrestles with her own thoughts, trying to figure out why she acted so out of character. Just then, Minju turns around, noting how exhausted she looks. Forcing a smile, So-yoon says she is fine. Catching the cleaner off guard, the huntress says she does not buy that excuse. So-yoon admits she has not been sleeping well at all for the past few days. But before explaining, she pivots, saying they should focus on the huntress instead since she has never chatted with one. Showing she is incredibly humble, Minju claims her life is pretty boring, except for the fact that she simply followed in her father's footsteps. Her dad was heartlessly kicked out after a shoulder injury because his boss claimed people should stop faking sickness and just get to work. Terrified of being judged or becoming a burden, he just pushed through the agony and kept working. So-yoon finds it absolutely shocking that his coworkers just stood by and did nothing. But Minju explains there is no real camaraderie in the association-only rank. Since her father was just a middle-aged B-rank hunter, nobody gave a damn about him, treating him like a disposable tool. She goes on to explain that the whole association functions like this, a brutal hierarchy where rank is law. It is exactly the same story with the other hunters she has to work with, except, of course, within the cleaning squad. A quiet silence settles between them until Minju suddenly asks if she has a crush on Kim. Blushing hard, So-yoon wonders if she is really that obvious. Grinning, the huntress confirms that literally anyone could tell, leaving poor So-yoon completely flushed and embarrassed. She admits the guy is incredibly skilled and highly responsible, even though he slacked off on day one. He knows every single dungeon and monster like the back of his hand, proving to be way more accurate than even the official control team data. Mulling it over, the huntress realizes our main character is definitely no ordinary cleaner. He knows way too much, which gives her the perfect excuse to stick by his side and not let him go. Minju reassures So-yoon that she does not see Kim in a romantic way at all. She only shadows him because of how the association operates. If she wants to get stronger and climb the ranks, she desperately needs Kim's specialized guidance. Eyes wide, the cleaner gasps, asking if she really is not his ex-girlfriend. Later on, the other three cleaners spot the girls walking back, amazed at how close they suddenly got out of nowhere. Park speaks up, reminding the crew that the dungeon boss is an absolute beast carrying highly lethal, corrosive venom. So, everyone has to be incredibly careful not to let even a drop touch their bare skin. Suddenly, Park notices So-yoon lagging behind. She complains her gear is highly uncomfortable and the mask makes breathing tough, but promises it won't affect her job. The dark-haired guy sighs, asking if it is not finally time to upgrade their worn-out gear. Park admits he has sent in multiple requests, but the stingy association constantly claims they have zero budget. Heading to the entrance, he tells them to stop complaining and just make do with what they have. Stepping inside, they come face to face with the remains of the boss, now just a massive, disgusting pool of green sludge. Kim silently notes that this giant slime creature looks harmless, almost like a typical dungeon mob. But if you breathe in its toxic gas for more than 5 minutes, you are dead. Since this cavern is massive, he hopes they will be fine. A while into the cleanup, the leader checks in on Kim and Sang. Now watch closely, this is where things go horribly wrong. Everyone says they are okay, but when Park taps So-yoon, she suddenly collapses, proving Kim's worst nightmare has officially come true. Panic instantly erupts as Park scoops her limp body up in his arms, desperately begging her to open her eyes and tell him what is wrong. Sang yells out that she looks incredibly pale, pointing out a massive tear in her hazmat suit that likely ruined her air filter. Blaming himself, Kim realizes he should have warned her, but now it is already too late. The medical squad cannot possibly reach them within 5 minutes with an antidote. Slime poisoning causes agonizing, mind-numbing pain throughout the entire nervous system right before the toxic shock completely shuts the body down. Standing perfectly still, Kim calls out to Minju, who responds instantly. He commands her to draw her sword, leaving the young warrior completely terrified by the sudden order. Furious, the leader and Sang demand to know what the hell he is doing, warning him they won't let her die. But Kim completely ignores them and demands the huntress hurry up. You and I are probably just as confused as Minju right now, but he demands she slash him immediately to trigger his overpowered system. Desperate and confused, Park begs Kim to stop playing games since the girl is dying. Yet, despite having zero context for his bizarre plan, the huntress decides to trust him and raises her weapon. Reaching out her hand, she summons her blade as a blinding blue aura floods the cavern. She activates her active skills, making Kim's eyes widen as he shouts that he did not want her to go all out, but it is already too late. She dashes forward, landing a direct blow. As our main character prays his gamble pays off, a system notification pops up warning of a hostile attack, instantly activating his legendary combat mode. Gritting his teeth through the pain, Kim promises to rush So-yoon to the medics himself and catch up with them later. Park screams, pointing out that driving to the medical camp would take at least 30 minutes. But in a sudden flash of blinding blue light, both Kim and the poisoned girl completely vanish. Outside, Kim is sprinting through the corridors with So-yoon strapped to his back, pushing his hyper boost skill to the absolute limit. He knows he must hurry, there are only 3 minutes left. Later at the clinic, a tearful Park bows to the doctor, who explains they barely made it in the nick of time. Turning his attention to our main character, the doctor asks if he was the one who brought her. Before he can even answer, Park cuts in to introduce himself. The doctor nods, then bluntly reminds the main character to settle the bill at the front desk for the stitches he just received. Next, we see So-yoon smiling weakly at her teammates, though they look incredibly stressed. Sang grumbles that she loves giving them heart attacks, while Park scolds her for not speaking up sooner. Furious, the dark-haired cleaner snaps, demanding to know how old their equipment actually is. Despite the leader trying to quiet him down, he argues that using the same protective gear for over a year is outright suicidal. He shouts, asking if his complaints are not completely justified. Realizing Minju is standing right there, Sang quickly clarifies he is not blaming the huntress for any of this. Park tells So-yoon to focus entirely on resting while he handles the paperwork. Out of nowhere, Kim quietly slips out of the room, claiming he is just grabbing some fresh air. Walking down the hall, he realizes her gear failing was actually a perfect opportunity and things worked out even better than he originally planned. This is the ultimate chance to force a major budget upgrade for the cleaning department. If he uses this accident to squeeze the high-ranking association officials, they will have absolutely no choice but to fully fund them. Back in the hospital room, So-yoon softly asks what is wrong with Kim. Park shrugs, guessing the guy is probably just shaken up. Guilt-tripped, she blames herself, but her boss disagrees. He reveals Kim actually got hurt saving her, proving that underneath his gruff shell, he deeply cares. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You'll want to see what happens next. Let's dive into this wild story, where Mew realizes she has a ton to learn from a guy who literally threw his life on the line. Sang points out that our main character is getting weirder by the second, especially since no ordinary cleaner should have powers like that. Meanwhile, once Yen finds out Kim was the one who saved her, she instantly regrets not thanking him sooner. Park turns to ask the huntress what her honest thoughts are on the guy. Stroking her chin, she admits he seems like a genuinely good person, and honestly, his face is totally her type. Flustered, the man explains he actually meant from a professional hunter's perspective. Blushing as she locks eyes with him, the girl smiles and says she finally gets it. The team leader sighs, saying it is a total waste for Kim to be stuck cleaning with all those high-level techniques. Minju asks if he is hoping the guy can somehow transfer over to the operations team. Park nods, and Mew agrees that Kim is miles ahead of average hunters when it comes to raw experience and knowledge, but there is a huge catch. He is officially just a cleaner. That reality visibly annoys Sang, but the huntress quickly clarifies. She is not saying Kim is stuck, quite the opposite, actually. Even as a B-rank hunter, she cannot even measure his true power, yet he chose to remain a cleaner. Stunned, Park asks if she really believes he chose this job on purpose. She nods, admitting she cannot think of any other logical reason. Park wonders why on earth Kim would do that. The huntress guesses that despite having insane skills, he probably hates the toxic hierarchy of the association and hunters, choosing the genuine family vibe of the cleaning crew instead. Park nods, saying if that is true, he will not mention transferring him ever again. Now, pay attention here, because Sang points out that if Kim cares this much, he probably went straight to the association to protest the accident, which instantly worries Minju. Meanwhile, our main character is standing right in front of Seaman Shook, the arrogant director of the SU branch of the association. The director asks who he is, and Kim calmly replies that he is just a janitor. Seaman asks if a mere cleaner is seriously demanding a budget raise for his team. When Kim says yes, the director slowly taps his fingers on the desk before locking his hands near his face. It turns out this guy is the big boss of the SU branch, having bought his way in through shady connections. He coldly tells Kim that he should have taken this up with the admin department instead. Kim snaps back, asking what kind of hunter manually hunts down every single minion instead of just taking out the big boss directly to end the struggle. The director asks if he is a licensed hunter, but Kim repeats that he's just a janitor. Irritated, the man asks how a lowly trash cleaner dares to demand budget raises without even being a team leader. He claims the cleaning department has no expenses that could ever justify such a high budget. But Kim counters that they need the raise because their current funds do not even cover basic operating costs. Laughing it off, the director mocks the kid for having the absolute nerve to speak to him like this. But Kim drops a truth bomb. The recent accident only happened because they are using expired gear. Surprised, Seaman claims he never received any incident report, and Kim bluntly responds that is because it literally just happened. Internally, the director fumes, wondering where this kid gets the confidence to be so disrespectful. Standing tall and fearless, Kim tells him he knows the director is cutting corners to save cash, but basic safety should never be compromised. But the director lies, claiming the association is completely broke, a fact Kim would know if he worked here longer. Smiling, our main character points out that they actually just secured a massive annual budget. We are talking billions, with 70% funneled straight to the operations team. Stammering, the shocked director asks how he knows that. Ignoring the question, our hero says they should allocate those unused funds to the workers who actually need them. You and I can see the director is completely speechless as he demands to know who Kim really is. Smirking, the main character states for the third time that he is just a janitor, warning the director to watch his own back since he was only promoted 2 months ago. Since the cleaning crew is treated like trash, it would be a disaster if citizens found out about this accident. Furious, the director asks if he is threatening him. but Kim calmly replies that he is simply stating the cold facts. Trapped, Seaman relents and asks how much of a budget increase Kim wants. Our hero tells him to decide the amount, knowing his system only requires a general budget raise to unlock his next broken ability. Turning around, Kim says he is leaving, but the director stops him, asking if he knows the huntress Minju. Intrigued by the sudden question, our main character asks him why he wants to know. Grinning, Seaman takes that as a yes, promising to review the budget raise and get back to him. Kim agrees and walks out, highly confused. The moment he is gone, the suspicious director immediately makes a phone call, proving he did not buy the janitor act for a second. When the contact answers, Seaman reports that the guy they discussed earlier just walked out of his office. He is convinced Kim is the one training Minju and must have some secret ties to the association. Pointing out how much classified info Kim possessed, the director also reveals that the kid demanded a major budget increase for his crew. Over at a restaurant, Lee Suang mutters that either way, Kim is still just a low-life cleaner, and he plans to teach those trash collectors a harsh lesson about bowing to their superiors. The next day, a massive, ominous dungeon portal opens up. Holding a letter, Park asks what this is, realizing it is a formal disciplinary notice. Furious, Sang growls that they deserve compensation, not some pathetic write-up. The team leader explains that the system blamed Yen, claiming her fatigue from multiple jobs caused the crash. Since there is no physical proof of faulty equipment, they completely rejected their injury compensation claim. Gritting his teeth, Kim realizes the director decided to play dirty, but Yen just smiles, telling him not to worry because she is totally fine. She claims a disciplinary notice is nothing major, and she did not expect the greedy association to pay up anyway. Our main character silently stares at her, utterly baffled. Honestly, he is just incredibly pissed that his system ability did not unlock. Approaching him, Sang admits he respects Kim now, hearing how bravely he stood up to the director face to face. Heavily confused, Kim wonders what kind of crazy hero these guys think he is. But the squad starts walking off, as Park says they should honor Kim's brave heart by working even harder. Before following them, our hero tries to piece together why the higher-ups would play so dirty. Suddenly, Minju breaks his train of thought, asking if this mess is actually all her fault. She explains that when she requested time off, she mentioned her friendship with the cleaning crew. Because her captain is arrogant, he probably took offense and decided to maliciously teach her a lesson. His eyes narrowing, Kim asks who this captain of hers actually is. Curious, the huntress reveals he is the first captain of the control division, a man named Lee Suang. It turns out Lee secured his high rank purely through connections, completely lacking real talent. Grinning slightly, Kim says he knows exactly who that clown is, and this petty move makes perfect sense. Speeding up, Kim calls out to Park, letting him know he is taking his scheduled day off. Cut to Samung Station, where a happy couple is strolling down the sidewalk, looking for a spot to eat. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the street as a dungeon portal tears open right in the middle of the city, sparking instant panic. Standing right before the gate, Kim smirks and says it has been a while. A split second later, a raging beast and a swarm of bloodthirsty monsters completely surround our hero. Gripping his cleaning tool, Kim triggers his speed skill, which instantly supercharges his movement and combat reflexes. Then, he charges straight into the fray, completely obliterating every single monster alone, showing us a secret dungeon interception only the coolest freelance hunters can pull off. All right, you and I are about to watch our main character realize he really does not know his own strength. But hey, he still dives in since he can clear this dungeon in under 15 minutes. Only problem, Kim forgets he's not the world's top-ranked hunter anymore. Now, a single stray hit can send him flying. The only reason he survives is because he already memorized this layout. Bold as ever, our main character charges the fourth boss, unleashing his skills while wielding his ultimate weapon, which is literally just a rusty household shovel. He hurls the tool right at the giant robot's wrist, and lightning starts crackling everywhere. That triggers a broken skill that boosts his weak point damage by 3,000%. The giant boss swings back to defend itself, but our boy is just too fast. Boom! A massive explosion rocks the room. With another boss down, that is his fourth cleared dungeon in a single day. Considering normal operations, hunters take a week to do that, he is absolutely crushing it. Walking out, he overhears two hunters complaining that some mystery guy stole 4 dungeons right from under their noses. Now they have to stand guard. Spotting our main character, they warn that the culprit is done for once caught. Doing this means getting fired instantly, or paying a massive fine if they are lucky. After clearing yet another gate, Kim laughs, loving the look of sheer panic on the hunters' faces. But after a 2-day break, the one getting shocked is him. Walking back into work, he bumps into the squad leader, Lee. making Park ask what he is even doing there. He claims it is just a field trip to build some healthy team camaraderie between departments. He tells everyone to ignore him and carry on. But our main character knows better. This surprise visit means Lee definitely suspects him of stealing those dungeons. Trying to break the ice, the team leader offers to fetch some protective gear. But Lee declines, coldly stating he will just keep his distance. Later on, it looks like this cleanup job is going to take forever. Kim agrees with Sang, saying he is fine, then asks Minju to grab more trash bags and a spare mop. Park asks So-yeon about the toxic gas levels. She reports it is at 150 micrograms, meaning the monsters are rotting fast. Our main character asks Sang for a hand, but Sang says he needs to mop the area first. Watch closely here. Lee is annoyed, convinced they are just acting busy because of him. So he throws out a trap, asking Minju if anyone stole any dungeons over the last 2 days. Kim panics. Since Minju knows he is secretly a strong hunter, she might put 2 and 2 together. He keeps wiping down the floor, sweating bullets, wondering if this guy is trying to corner him. Minju plays completely dumb, simply commenting that the hunter community must be in an absolute frenzy over it. Lee agrees, adding that the association is actively tracking the thief. Whoever exposes them gets a massive reward, and if they are a hunter, a huge boost to their rank evaluation. Even better, any non-combat team that catches the culprit gets a department transfer, meaning the janitors could finally leave this messy job behind. So, if anyone went missing during those 2 days, they need to report it now. Squatting on the floor, Kim thinks he is busted. But fine, let us see who comes out on top. He might lack talent, but he is no idiot. Suddenly, Park shouts over to our hero, asking if his injury from yesterday is okay, reminding him that he warned him to be careful when chopping up monster corpses. So Yoon immediately catches on and plays along. Sang jumps in too, teasing that he knew our boy would get hurt the moment he started singing on the job. Park turns to Lee, saying they do not know anyone suspicious. Sang nods, playing dumb, adding it is a real shame because they would love to transfer, but they will report any clues right away. Totally bewildered, Lee wonders if these janitors have lost their minds, while Minju watches the whole comedy show from the back with a quiet smile. Back at headquarters, Lee is screaming into his phone at the director, swearing the janitor is definitely the culprit. But the director, Semin, calmly suggests they should just increase the cleaning crew's budget. This completely infuriates the squad captain, who wanted nothing more than to ruin our hero. Unfazed, the director warns him that they messed with the wrong guy, because this janitor is not normal. Let's pause here. Just as the director explains who Kim really is, Lee's face drops in total shock. Meanwhile, a kid nearby tells their mom that the guy behind them is covered in strawberry juice. Completely ignoring them, our hero just smiles, totally satisfied that his dungeon raids secured the budget they needed. Back on the call, the director explains they received a massive private donation specifically for the cleaning crew's support fund. Enraged, the captain yells that this literally proves the janitor did it. But Semin counters, does that actually make sense? Why would an elite powerhouse choose to scrub floors on a cleanup crew? He certainly wouldn't. Left stammering, the captain is forced to agree. The director adds that things get weirder. The kid knew way too much about association secrets, meaning there is someone or something hidden in that cleaning department that they should not mess with. Listening on the other end, Lee gasps as everything finally clicks into place. Semin concludes that our hero is definitely an insider backed by someone incredibly powerful like the association president, who already dislikes the captain anyway. Gritting his teeth, the captain realizes that is why the entire cleaning crew is covering for Kim. They know he is connected to the top brass. On the phone, Semin warns him to just do his job properly before he gets himself destroyed. Meanwhile, back at the office, Park praises everyone for a job well done. It looks like they successfully avoided the investigation. And now, they are just waiting for the new budget to kick in. Suddenly, a massive stack of delivered boxes catches our main character's eye, and nobody has any clue who sent them. Tearing them open, Sang and So-yeon find brand new hazard suits, heavy-duty gas masks, gloves, and premium gear. A bewildered Park wonders if headquarters actually sent this. Kim quietly celebrates, thinking his anonymous donation worked. But then, the team leader drops a bomb. Their budget was increased by 200 million won, not the 20 million Kim actually deposited. Holding the official letter, our hero is totally baffled as to why they sent 10 times his original amount. Sang snatches the paper and reads it aloud. The association admitted that failing gear caused the recent accident, so they are handing out raises to everyone. This leaves the entire team completely speechless. To top it off, So-yeon is getting 100 million won in direct injury compensation. Emotional and crying, she looks at Kim in disbelief, but our boy quickly waves his hands, insisting he had nothing to do with it. Grinning, Park admits he has never seen the greedy association change their minds like this in all his years of cleaning. Our main character asks if he finds this suspicious, but Park just points to the official letter. Dumbfounded, our boy asks if they really do not care who did this. The entire crew just beams, saying that is exactly right. The leader says they need to haul these boxes to their office, a room Kim did not even know they had. Curiously, Minju asks where it is, offering to help our hero carry everything so they can pack up. Park insists they work together, but Minju asks our boy what he thinks. Annoyed, he just asks to leave. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. You and I are about to watch our guy unlock a terrifying skill called Hellfire because of a massive budget boost. With a smirk, he realizes his days with the cleaning crew are officially numbered. Out of nowhere, the female hunter corners him, demanding to know if he was the one stealing all their kills lately. He just stares right back, asking what she plans to do about it. The girl quickly reassures him, telling him she has no intention of making trouble. She then points out the sudden boost in their support fund, explaining that the whole team probably knows but keeps quiet to protect him. Minju then asks if he is familiar with the old saying about genius. No matter how hard you try to hide real talent, it always shines through. She warns him that the Hunter Association is bound to notice his crazy skills soon, and there is no way they will let a powerhouse like him stay on a mere cleanup crew. That news actually makes him incredibly happy. He never expected Minju to give him the perfect excuse, but now he can finally walk away from this dead-end job without looking suspicious. But then she slams a heavy box onto the ground, smirk on her face. She warns him that escaping this team is not going to be nearly as easy as he thinks. She boldly declares that she will do everything to keep him here forever, at least until she hits rank A. Our main character is furious, wondering if she is playing some sick joke. Shortly after that talk, another nasty incident catches the cleanup crew completely off guard. Looking at the freshly defaced wall, they realize they have some extremely bitter enemies targeting them. The entire warehouse is a total disaster. Cruel insults are painted everywhere in bright red monster juice, and severed beast carcasses are scattered across the floor to scare them. Cyan is visibly shaking, while Sang wants to hunt down the culprits immediately. However, Kim tells them to calm down, knowing that reacting will only fuel the fire. He suspects the culprits are rookie hunters from the operations division. He must avoid useless fights to unlock his hidden skills. Unfortunately, the harassment goes on for 3 solid days. While scrubbing the messy floors, So Yan breaks down in tears, crying about how cruel and unfair this treatment is. Park explains that the operations captain is away on a trip, and the rest of their squad denies any involvement. Desperate, he decides to call Minju to see if she can help them. Now, pay attention here. Kim steps in with an absolutely terrifying look on his face, telling everyone to stop cleaning. He makes it clear that he is going to handle this personally. Wearing a chilling, borderline psychopathic smile, our boy notes that their constant harassment has finally triggered one of his powerful passive skills. He heads straight to the association headquarters. Inside the busy Seoul branch lobby, a receptionist is greeting guests when Kim suddenly storms in. He shoves 2 arrogant hunters aside, sending them crashing down as they scream at him in pure rage. Kim is focused entirely on the insult from 3 days ago. Flashback to the dungeon gate, where 2 high and mighty hunters push past his crew, complaining about their smell and accusing them of stealing another team's hard-earned budget. They warn them to stay quiet and do their dirty work. Furious, the dark-haired cleaner snaps back, but before the fight escalates, Minju suddenly arrives and coldly asks which squad they belong to. Annoyed, the arrogant punks snap back, demanding to know who she thinks she is. Proving she is not someone to be messed with, she demands a straight answer. One guy scoffs, asking if she would even recognize their division, until his partner suddenly realizes she is actually on their team. Immediately, the cocky hunter bows deeply, frantically apologizing for not recognizing her. Minju coldly asks why they are apologizing to her when she has never even heard of them. She tells them to apologize to the cleaners for acting like complete beasts first. Shunning them, she turns to check if Sang and So Yan are alright. They nod in relief. She notes how some low-level rank E-trash act like gods the second they get awakened. Park smiles, suggesting they get back to work. But Minju reveals she only came to say her final goodbyes, thanking them deeply for teaching her so much. The team leader expresses his sincere gratitude for all her hard work. Smiling warmly, she says she is the lucky one for getting to meet such incredibly kind-hearted people. We can all see how hard this farewell is on the team as tears start flowing. But get this, Kim is actually thrilled since he was the one who orchestrated her departure. We flash back to when Kim told her she had to leave. Though shocked, she quickly realized he was offering to train her. Using his immense past life experience, he crafted a perfect dungeon clear strategy for her. a plan designed to shoot her up the ranks in 6 months. Since he cannot build a public career himself right now, he will mold Minju into the ultimate hunter. She will be his perfect bargaining chip against the association. Even in this new life, his ruthless mindset remains unchanged. Handing over the guide, he is stopped by her calling out to him. With a beaming smile, Minju thanks him sincerely and promises that if he ever finds himself in trouble, she will be there in a heartbeat, no questions asked. Little did they know, the cowards launched their attack right after she left. Back in the present, the two trash hunters are laughing at Park, who came begging for protection. They mock him, asking how a pathetic cleanup crew dares to question a real hunter squad's massive budget. They think they are untouchable. But out of nowhere, Kim appears and delivers a devastating punch, dropping the loudmouth instantly. The other hunter panics, demanding to know who he is. Kim doesn't waste time talking. He throws another punch, but the surviving hunter quickly activates his skill, screaming in disbelief that a mere janitor would dare strike him. Revealing his necromancy power, a giant skeleton summon swings a massive scythe at Kim. Our boy dodges with ease, sending the enraged hunter into using his ultimate offensive skill called Death Strike. He screams that Kim is finished. But Kim just brutally punches both the hunter and his summon right in the face simultaneously, asking how a weakling like him dared unleash a skill outside. Standing over them, he asks if they enjoyed acting like petty bullies, trash-talking his crew, and breaking the law by using dangerous magic on normal citizens outside of a dungeon. When the guy tries to talk back, Kim raises his fist again to shut him up. He tells him he is far too cowardly to ever call himself a hunter. Crouching low, Kim whispers that his team will never clean up after these punks again. Plus, he's going to expose their pathetic bullying to the media, leaving a burning handprint on the guy's face. The bruised hunter whimpers that the association will punish him. With a chilling gaze, Kim scoffs, asking if he truly believes the executives would cover for a pathetic, low-ranking hunter. He warns that if they want to keep their licenses, they better apologize to his team on their knees, unless they want to settle this inside a dungeon. Suddenly, Captain Lee walks in. The sudden arrival shocks them. Kim is left wondering why the captain is here when they said he was away on a trip. Smiling, the captain asks what the janitor is doing here, wondering if the recent budget increase was not enough. Kim points at the beaten duo, explaining that they have been trashing the dungeons and harassing his crew. One guy screams that it is all lies, but gets instantly slapped by the captain. Trust me, you and I love seeing instant karma. Alright, let's jump right back into this story. Smiling, a man approaches Kim to apologize for the rogue hunter, prompting our boy to tell Captain Lee to be careful next time. Leaving the room as the captain tells him to take care, the young man glances back. He hopes those jerks never show their faces again, finally ending all this drama. Still, the captain's bizarre change of heart keeps lingering in the back of our main character's mind. But when he mentions this weird behavior to Minju, she has absolutely no memory of it. The main character notes they actually apologize, believing the trouble is over. But the hunter drops a truth bomb even if those guys wanted revenge. They cannot do anything because they just got fired. With wide eyes, Kim is left stunned, wondering yet again why Lee acted so friendly. To make things even weirder, the very next day, the cleaning crew spots a group of high-tier hunters bowing and thanking them for all their hard work. Though completely baffled, our main character politely tells them they did great work too. Shockingly, this bizarre respect continues for days. The hunters even leave the dungeons perfectly organized. Happy yet confused, Subon admits she is not used to this, while Park feels they are finally respected. Sang excitedly asks if this makes them cooler than the hunters, but the team leader quickly shuts down his arrogance. Soon, the young woman approaches Kim, admitting she is glad he is on their team but still deeply worried. Internally, our boy wonders what she means. So, Yan explains that Kim might end up in serious trouble because of them since every eye is on him now, especially after what he did to those two hunters. The main character shrugs, saying he does not care if someone is mad at him. Smiling, the girl agrees since he did nothing wrong. Sang jumps in, saying he is still totally confused. This young janitor demanded a raise from the director, stood up to elite hunters, and now Team 1 from Operations is keeping a close watch on them, as if Kim were some incredibly powerful VIP that even the directors cannot touch. This theory catches our hero off guard. Laughing it off, he tells everyone to stop playing around and get back to work, thinking there is no way that is true. Now pay attention to Lee, who looks absolutely miserable. In his office, a smug voice asks if it is true he is personally monitoring a mere cleaning crew. Turns out, Team 1 from Operations was assigned to shadow them. This mocking voice belongs to Lim Dong-bin, the captain of Team 2. Furious, Lee snaps back, telling Lim he knows nothing and needs to shut his mouth. Leaning over the desk, Lim mockingly asks if the president knows about this, bragging that if Lee actually worked hard like him, he would not have to stress over such pathetic things. Enraged, the captain of Team 1 tells him to get lost if he is finished. But the arrogant captain of Team 2 promises to handle everything, offering to play the hero and eliminate the annoying janitor who has been a thorn in their side. Chewing on a snack, Lee asks what his rival is planning to do. Wearing a sinister grin, Lim claims he will do whatever it takes, knowing President Nan can easily sweep any minor accident under the rug. He reveals his dark scheme to frame the innocent cleaning crew. Glaring at Lim, Lee silently wonders what terrible fate is about to hit the group. Lim just flashes a wicked smile. Turning around, he asks Lee if he seriously wants to babysit a bunch of garbage collectors for the rest of his career. That reality check finally convinces the captain of Team 1, who asks for details. Lim explains it is easy because Team 1 has a major raid scheduled next week in the multi-layered Dungeon of Yongpo. This unique dungeon only unlocks its deeper layers once the first floor boss dies. Though rated normal, the threat level is insane because escape is impossible until every single boss is destroyed. It usually takes a full month of preparation. Laying out the scheme, Lim says he will manage the rest, but Lee raises his voice, asking if this is too extreme even for him. Completely unbothered, Lim replies that the director already approved it before walking out. This leaves Lee deeply frustrated, knowing Lim is a snake who always steals credit for other people's hard work. Pondering the offer, Lee realizes that getting rid of the cleaners solves his biggest headache. He agrees to the plot, provided it stays completely quiet and never traces back to him. Laughing, Lim mentions he heard about a promising rookie on Lee's squad named Minju. Smirking, the rival captain demands that Lee transfer this talented hunter over to his team. Lee silently wonders how the guy even found out about her. Sighing, he tells Lim to recruit the girl himself. After their shady meeting, the scene transitions to the busy city streets. Let us check on Kim, who is smiling at his status window, happy that unlocking new skills is getting easier. Yet, he knows there is a dark reason why nobody else joins the cleaning squad. Reviewing his remaining quests, he selects a mission focused on boosting public interest in their cleaning crew. Suddenly, his phone rings with a call from Minju, prompting him to ask if something is wrong. She reveals she was selected as the vanguard leader for a dangerous, multi-layered dungeon. Kim congratulates her on her rising status, but she explains she called because the cleaners are being dragged into the operation. Back at the association headquarters, angry hunters are loudly complaining about a sudden wage cut. They blame the janitors entirely. Frustrated, they cannot even retaliate. One hunter warns the group to lower their voices as the cleaners walk past, prompting a worried Yan to ask Park if he is doing all right. Though visibly trembling, Park nods. A nearby hunter mocks them, laughing that even stray dogs know when to stay quiet. Ignoring the insult, Kim asks why Team 1 was not assigned to this raid instead. Minju explains that Lee handed this massive project over to Team 2. Shocked, Kim asks why he would make such a move, but she has no answers. Suddenly, Lim dramatically bursts into the room. Smiling warmly, the captain greets the room, announcing his team will lead the Yongpo mission. Our hero's jaw drops in complete disbelief upon realizing this scumbag is the captain of Team 2. It turns out this crook is notorious for stealing credit and has snatched several of Kim's achievements in the past. Noticing our boy shaking with rage, the girls ask what is wrong. Kim warns Minju to stay far away from Lim, calling him absolute trash. At the front, Lim declares the mission will take 24 hours, and nobody leaves until every single boss is dead. So, if anyone wants to back out, they must speak up immediately. Since everyone remains silent, the captain begins detailing the strategy, which involves splitting their forces into 3 distinct teams to finish quickly. If they take too long, the beasts will emit massive amounts of poison gas, which the cleaning squad must handle since they are being forced to join. Lim promises a massive bonus for their efforts due to the high stakes. Park agrees, saying they are in, while Kim silently realizes there is no logical reason for him to decline. It is the perfect chance to work alongside the operations department and finally unlock a new power. As a simple janitor, if he skips this high-profile raid, another opportunity might never come. Despite his internal calculations, our hero speaks up and flatly refuses to participate. This completely blindsides Lim, who has no clue he just provoked a deadly enemy standing right before him. Following the briefing, the rest of the cleaning team gathers to discuss why Kim rejected the mission. Park suggests that maybe our boy is just deeply worried about their safety. Minju admits she shares those fears because the sheer volume of dangerous beasts makes this raid incredibly risky. Getting emotional, the team leader suggests they should all stand by Kim and decline the job too. Without a second thought, the others agree, deeply moved by this solidarity. Chuckling, Park notes that Kim has a heart of gold, making their final decision unanimous. Stunning everyone, Minju decides to back out as well. Yan protests since she is the official mission leader, but the hunter shrugs it off. Trust me, you and I are in for an insane ride next week. Let's dive back in as she refuses to betray her teacher. At a time like this, the master's word is law, and the cleaning team leader completely agrees. A bit later, inside the Hunter Association building, we catch Lee smiling like a total psychopath. He's absolutely loving how mad Lim must be now that the cleaners refuse to play along. Walking straight into Lim's office, the Team 1 captain reminds him that he was warned. He messed with the wrong guy, but the irritated captain just tells him to get lost. Lee gets closer, asking if it's true that Team 2 failed and even Minju rejected him. Is he really going to beg a freelance hunter who will charge at least 200 million won? Furious, Lim slams his desk and demands silence. He threatens to use the director's authority to activate a mandatory draft list, which is reserved for major emergencies and carries the threat of permanent expulsion for anyone who refuses. With a cold glare, the captain of Team 2 mutters about how those clueless amateurs dared to disrespect him. A few days later, the news hits the cleaning crew they've been drafted. When the day of the operation finally arrives, the media is out in full force. Sang worries if they'll have to do interviews, while Park wishes he'd shaved and So Yan regrets not washing her hair. Kim walks over to Minju, telling her to stop looking so terrified and show some confidence because if the hunters look nervous, the public will lose their minds. Fidgeting nervously, the girl insists she'll be fine once the action starts. Our main character tells her to focus entirely on clearing the dungeon instead of worrying about the cleaners. The huntress agrees but begs him to keep his radio on. Our boy asks if she's just going to keep crying to him for help, but she stays quiet, giving him a look that says absolutely. Now watch this. Cornered, our main character tells her that if she feels like she's about to die, she better speak up. Park yells for a final gear check to make sure they packed everything. So Yan lists off their supplies: hydrogen peroxide, diluted acid, 10 liters of saline, a vacuum compressor, foam packets, and plenty of rations. Satisfied, the boss tells them that even though this is a brutal mission, they should treat it like a normal workday. A couple of nearby hunters watch this speech and start laughing. Lim finally shows up, sarcastically praising the presence of their beloved cleaning crew and their leader Minju. He fake politely wishes them all the best of luck. The girl wishes them luck too, but some hunters wonder why a top-tier hunter is acting as their lead. Kim explains it's rare, but it happens. While the others think she's qualified, our main character knows there's a darker reason Lim wanted her on this raid. The useless manager doesn't know how to do anything except sit back and steal all the credit later. Lim fake promises that he'll protect everyone, telling them to call him if anything goes wrong. Keeping her head down, Minju quietly agrees. Glaring back, the man warns the cleaning crew to stay focused and not slow the real hunters down. Kim keeps his anger in check, promising they'll do their best while silently wondering how long this fool can keep acting tough. After wrapping up the announcements, Lim tells the huntress to take over. Standing before the raid group, Minju explains that they will be splitting up into 3 teams, A, B, and C. Team A enters first, followed by B and C, constantly pushing forward. She tells them not to worry about the cleaning crew, since they already know how a dungeon works. So if anything goes wrong, the hunters should just ask the cleaners for help. That bizarre statement leaves everyone completely stunned, especially Kim, who wonders what she's playing at. Lim laughs it off, saying she's probably just nervous and mixed up the teams, but the young woman doesn't back down, calmly telling everyone to double-check their gear. Now here's where things get satisfying for us. Our favorite cleaning crew finally heads inside, working their magic on all the disgusting slime and filth those messy hunters left behind. So Yan admits she was pretty scared at first, but now it feels like a breeze. Sangun wishes they could watch the hunters fight, saying it feels lame to be kept so far away. Park laughs, telling them that now that the monster dissection is done, the real cleanup starts. Because the toxic gas can't spread, they have to bag all the monster parts immediately. Normally, they would just cremate the monster corpses on the spot, but that's impossible here. Instead, they have to pack the remains into heavy-duty vacuum bags filled with decomposing chemicals. Sweating over the gross work, Sang complains about how nasty it is before asking when they finally get to eat. Park notes that they barely just started. Suddenly, So-Yan pops up with chocolate bars, asking who's hungry. She offers one to Kim before suddenly remembering that our boy absolutely hates being bothered while he is working. To her absolute shock, he actually requests a strawberry-flavored one. He eats it immediately, while the girl just stares at him like he's a cute bunny chewing on a carrot. Smiling, Park says he feels recharged. In his head, our main character knows this is their first major raid, but as long as they keep doing their usual job, everything will be fine. And so, 8 hours later, the hunters are having an easy time, but the cleaners are suffering. After 10 long hours inside, exhaustion finally starts creeping in. By 15 hours, Sang falls asleep and injures his hand, and an exploding meat bag leaves our main character completely drained, trying to clean it up. At 18 hours, the operations team radios in, warning them that the gas levels are rising. Park apologizes, explaining that the sheer workload has slowed them down and they're still stuck in Zone 5. The voice on the radio coldly snaps that they're being way too slow. The hunters have already reached Zone 10. Hearing that they need a break, a hunter on the radio explodes with anger. Kim grabs the comms and yells that they're completely exhausted and can't move. The hunter snaps that pausing the raid is out of the question. Our protagonist fires back, asking how they expect exhausted people to keep working. The hunter coldly tells him that's their problem and to deal with it. Boldly, Kim demands he sends some of those fancy idle hunters down to help them. The young man scoffs, asking if they look like janitors. Furious, our boy curses him out and demands to speak to the boss right now. Lim quickly steps in, asking why they aren't working if they're so capable, and why Kim is standing around instead of cleaning. Our protagonist demands to know where Minju is. The man ignores the question, asking why he cares. Our boy points out his team has been working for 18 hours straight and aren't machines, but Lim couldn't care less, asking if he's refusing to do his job. He then raises his voice, calling him a weakling who thinks he has the right to delay a massive operation that took hunters weeks to prepare for. Cruelly, the corrupt manager declares that the entire team is losing their bonus for neglecting their duties and failing to follow direct orders. He claims he simply can't let this slide because he is the one in charge of their actions. Kim can't hold it in and bursts out laughing, saying he knew the scumbag only forced them onto this raid to hand out punishments. He calls him an absolute bastard. He points out Lim doesn't know the first thing about cleaning and isn't even the raid leader. As Lim fumes, our guy asks what he'll do when they walk out and let the toxic gas spread. Terrified, the captain grabs his radio and calls Minju, asking if she's busy. Farther in the dungeon, we see the young woman face to face with a massive, terrifying monster as she says she is. He lies and says they bailed, leaving everyone to suffocate as he takes command. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this backfires on him. All right, you and I are diving straight into this chaos. Lim starts trash-talking the young leader, claiming she has no business running the show. When Minju hears Kim chime in, she hesitates. But Kim bluntly asks her if she wants to roll over and die here. Minju freezes, completely paralyzed. Meanwhile, Lim gets furious, demanding she hand over control immediately. He snaps, reminding her that she wouldn't even have this job if it weren't for his backing. Backed into a corner, Minju sighs and agrees. But with a cold, dark look, she hands the leadership over to Kim, who is literally just the dungeon janitor. Our main character just smiles. As the rest of the crew looks away awkwardly, he raises his hand and confidently asks if they are ready to see how a real leader operates. Lim totally loses it and laughs in his face. He mocks Kim, saying a janitor can only lead a cleanup crew, and insists he is the real boss. But our main character just smirks, asking if garbage like him can actually lead anyone. The arrogant captain smirks, openly questioning if this young kid is even a licensed hunter. Kim shrugs, saying it does not matter. But Lim snaps back, yelling that this is life or death. So Kim asks if they should just blindly hand power to a coward who wants to run away. Lim agrees, promising to let the cleaning crew off with just minor probation. But our boy looks him dead in the eye and says things are going to go his way. Staring at Lim's smug face brings back dark memories from the past. Even though our hero has grown massively since returning, the anger still bubbles up. Confused, the captain asks what he is babbling about. With absolute authority, our protagonist kicks the captain out of the raid completely. This is a severe disciplinary action that instantly strips a hunter of any rewards or participation credit during the dungeon run. Stepping forward, Kim tells Lim to shut his mouth before a bug flies in. He asks if this is his first time getting benched. Then, grabbing the comms, he announces to the entire team that from now on, former leader Lim Dong-bin is officially removed from the operation. Everyone must now follow Kim's direct orders, since the high-ranking huntress Minju has officially handed full command over to him. Laying down his very first order, Kim demands that teams B and C assist the cleaning crew. The elite hunters immediately lose their minds, complaining that they did not train for years just to sweep floors. So, check this out, our guy immediately kicks teams B and C out of the raid 2 for insubordination. He contacts Team A, warning them that they are short-handed now and need to push past their limits. Kim checks if Minju has reached Area 11. She confirms she is there, warning him that the local monster is incredibly brutal to handle. The main character instructs them to position their tank right in front, keeping the healer safe at the back. Once the giant bear's defense buff drops, it will charge the tank and exhaust itself, leaving it wide open. Minju nods, ready to put the plan into action, and rallies her squad. While the healer prepares to debuff the monster, the tank steps up, daring the beast to bring it on. With a deafening roar, the massive bear lunges at the tank, who holds her ground. Suddenly, Minju flashes forward, triggering her counterattack skill to deliver a devastating slash to the beast. The wounded beast roars one last time, putting everyone on guard. Moments later, Minju radios Kim to report that Area 11 is cleared, leaving the bench hunters absolutely speechless. With a calm grin, Kim declares they will wrap up the entire dungeon in 50 minutes. Next, they hit Area 12, crawling with ghost-type monsters that shrug off all physical attacks. The next zone features mind-bending illusions, forcing the healer to constantly cast Purify. Watching this mastermind work, the sideline hunters wonder if this guy is actually just a simple janitor. Meanwhile, Kim is literally chilling on the floor, casually tossing out flawless commands. But his relaxed vibe breaks when Minju warns him that the squad is exhausted and running out of mana. Jumping to his feet, he tells her to hold the line and stay alive. On screen, the tired huntress struggles against a massive stone titan covered in heavy armor and glowing crystals. Minju realizes this monster is completely anomalous. It is unlike anything she has ever faced. It is absurdly durable, massive, and unbelievably agile, forcing her to leap desperately around its attacks. Sensing an incoming strike, she tries to dodge, but the impact sends her crashing hard into the dirt. Just as things look bleak, Kim suddenly appears and extends a hand. Smiling weakly, Minju admits she is not as strong as she thought, reaching up for his hand. But our guy completely ignores it, telling her to just hand over her sword instead. Now, you and I both know nothing is ever easy for our main character. Staring at the stone giant, he realizes it's a red-rank threat, a real pain to deal with. Luckily, he recently unlocked his hyper-immersion skill. Since this broken ability massively boosts any other skill he triggers, this giant is about to have a very bad day. Charging in with insane speed, Kim shatters the ground beneath him with a completely bored expression. With one clean strike, he pierces the giant's vital spot, unleashing a torrent of purple blood and a deafening shriek. Wasting no time, he unleashes another devastating blow to end things once and for all. But the beast is insanely resilient, forcing Kim to stack his armor-piercing skill with hyper-immersion and a counterattack. An explosion erupts, engulfing the titan in a sea of flames until it blows into tiny pieces. The stunned hunters can only stare, wondering who this monster is. But Minju warns them to keep their mouths shut because money, fame, and power mean absolutely nothing to this janitor. All he wants is to support his crew in peace. Meanwhile, news of Lim's utter failure explodes across the internet, leaving the director absolutely fuming. The director roars, demanding to know how they got kicked out of one of the association's most critical raids. Standing before him, the Team 2 captain shamelessly tries to blame Minju and the janitor for working together to sabotage him. The director glares, asking if he seriously expects these pathetic excuses to save his skin. Everyone knows he tried to steal Minju's glory, sweating bullets. The captain stammers that it isn't fair, trying to pass the blame onto someone else. Grabbing the captain by his hair, the director snaps, asking if he forgot who the boss is. With the media tracking this scandal, there is no way to sweep this under the rug. He commands him to pack his bags and submit his resignation immediately. The disgraced Team 2 captain scurries out like a rat. Lee then asks the director if they should reach out to the legendary janitor to offer him assistance. Ignoring the question, the director stares out the window and suggests promoting Minju to team leader. We soon learn that Lim and his entire squad faced heavy disciplinary action. On top of that, the captain is demoted in rank, which is basically the end of a hunter's career. But things are going great for our favorite squad, especially for Minju, who is now officially a team leader. Flooded with congratulations and flowers from her friends, the young woman bursts into tears of gratitude, thanking everyone. The others tease her about crying, but she jokingly claims there's just dust in her eyes. She apologizes for keeping it a secret, admitting everything moved way too fast. Her friends praise her new high-level status, but Minju humbly notes she still lacks real-world experience. Looking around the completely empty office, Kim points out there is not much she can do with so many people gone. She sighs, revealing that 17 people quit more than half the department. Seeing her slip back into self-doubt, our hero gently reminds her to take pride in how far she's come. He recalls not leading a team until 30, while Minju smiles, saying it's all thanks to him. And that's where we leave them. What a ride. Let's dive back in as our main character warns her never to say that around her squad, or they will lose all respect for her. Besides, those other guys got kicked out because of him anyway. Right then, her hunters walk in and freeze when they spot the janitors. Instantly, they all stand at attention, bowing deeply to introduce themselves and saying it is an absolute honor to meet them. One kid runs up to Kim, hyping up his legendary performance during the last raid, and begs the squad to treat them like part of the cleaning crew, offering help whenever they need it. The whole room bursts out laughing, including our main character, who wonders what is up with these kids. Minju smiles, promising that nobody will mess with her friends, so he can clean in peace. A bit later, the huntress mentions that a special guest is about to arrive. Kim asks who she is talking about, and she reveals it is her brand new personal assistant. Kim smiles, thinking she really has become a big deal, since only top squad leaders get personal assistants, but just as he is feeling proud, something totally catches his eye. He suddenly remembers his own former helper, Lee Young, the only person who stayed by his side through thick and thin, and the one he trusted more than anyone else. Anxious, he asks Minju for the assistant's name, but she playfully keeps it a secret. Feeling a bit down, he decides to drop it after all. What would he even say to someone who probably forgot him? With that, the cleaners head out, and Minju warns them to stay safe. But as Kim opens the door, he runs straight into someone trying to enter, none other than Song Hyan, her new helper. Glaring coldly, our main character mutters that he is not Minju, leaving the poor girl totally spooked. The huntress quickly calls out, saying she is the boss, and invites her new helper inside. Park shouts that they are going to be late, while Kim takes one last look to make sure this girl is not young. Seeing it as a stranger, he feels a wave of disappointment. He bids farewell and heads out. Later on, the new assistant is sighing from sheer exhaustion. She complains about being overworked after just 2 months on the job, when another woman suddenly approaches her. It is none other than Deputy Manager Lee Young. The rookie admits her boss is nice, but complains that the big director does not seem to care about her at all. Now pay attention here, because she tells the rookie that keeping a low profile is actually a win. She then wishes her luck, mentioning rumors about Minju being close with a highly connected janitor. The rookie scoffs, saying she met that janitor and absolutely hated him. After listing all of Kim's flaws, she petty-mindedly bets that the guy has probably never even had a girlfriend in his life. Intrigued, the manager asks if this is the same guy who secured a massive budget boost for the cleaners and got entire combat squads fired just for disrespecting his team. But the assistant insists Kim only did it to look good, claiming that the second real trouble hits, he will run away and shift the blame to others. Resting her chin on her hand, Young admits she is incredibly curious to see who this janitor really is. Meanwhile, miles away, our main character scratches his ear, wondering who is talking smack behind his back. Deep inside a dungeon, Kim is happily humming a sweeping song, and Minju starts singing along beside him. Surprised, our guy looks up and asks if she actually has real work to do. She snarkily asks if this does not count as work. Kim sighs, muttering that her squad must be absolutely thrilled. Sure enough, her hunters are lined up behind her, asking how to do the cleaning. Laughing, Park happily offers to show them the ropes. Meanwhile, the cleaners ask for volunteers to help with disinfecting, warning that they will never finish this massive chore alone. Hyped up, hunters tell them to leave it to their squad, declaring that Team 2 and the cleaners are officially one family. Holding his broom, our main character just completely gives up. A while later, Kim pulls Minju aside to ask what is really bothering her. She sighs, admitting she is struggling to draft their monthly raid schedule, prompting our guy to ask for details. She explains they have to clear 50 dungeons this month but are short by 20 hunters. To make things worse, management ruled that blue-grade dungeons will not even count toward their official target. Kim calls complete nonsense on that, since the system spawns low-tier dungeons completely at random. But to the higher-ups, only the final numbers seem to matter. He suggests splitting their squad into 3 smaller teams of 4, which lets them clear 2 dungeons daily instead of just 1. Blown away by his tactical mind, Minju thanks him, saying she always seems to owe him one. Kim shrugs it off, but I know what you were thinking. Who is that spying on them? He tells Minju that the girl hiding in the back is the real issue. Lowering her voice, Minju asks if he and her new assistant have some kind of history together. Our main character denies it instantly, claiming he only met the girl yesterday at the office. Minju jokes that she thought they were exes, making Kim snap and ask if she has a death wish. Just then, Hyan approaches, reminding her boss about an upcoming operations meeting. The leader waves it off, claiming they have tons of time, and tells her helper to run ahead and book a table for lunch. Thrilled, the helper runs off, while Minju admits she fabricated that meeting just to talk to Kim privately. She asks if he knows anyone from support, leaving him confused as he shakes his head. She warns him that a secret contact from the support team desperately wants to meet, but emphasizes that Young must never find out. Kim wonders if this is payback for wiping out Squad 2, but tells her he will meet them when he has some free time. Once the cleaning is finished, Minju treats the entire crew to a celebration lunch for her big promotion. And just like that, We skip ahead to the next morning. Inside a dark dungeon, a terrified little boy wanders around searching for his older brother. Hearing a faint voice nearby, the kid walks closer, squinting to see if it is really him. But crawling on the floor is a hideous monster, mimicking a human cry for help. Shaking with fear, the boy asks if he is all right, totally unaware that the hungry beast is already upon him. The helpless kid screams in absolute terror. Flash forward to the guild headquarters, where breaking news reports that around 12:30, a schoolboy accidentally wandered into an open gate and got mauled. Fortunately, his injuries were minor, but witnesses claim there was absolutely no safety barrier up. Cornered by director Sumin, Minju argues that dungeon gates should never be left exposed to the public. Furious, Sumin yells that everyone knows that, demanding to know why her squad failed to secure the area. It turns out her team only found the kid as they were leaving. Talk about a close call. Slamming his fists onto the desk, the director demands to know who the idiot was that made such a critical mistake. Stepping up to the plate, Kim calmly says it was all his fault. He claims he forgot the barrier because he was in a rush to grab lunch. Confused, a huntress whispers that she literally saw him set it up, but Kim tells her to quiet down before the director hears. Sparing a moment to cool down, Suman asks if the entire cleaning crew is responsible, but Kim insists the blame lies with him alone. Suman narrows his eyes, asking what he expects to gain by playing the martyr. Our main character claims he gains nothing and is simply telling the truth, promising that he will personally accept whatever punishment they hand down tomorrow morning. Suman nods, stating that his official disciplinary hearing is set for 9 a.m. He warns him that there is no dodging punishment for this scale of disaster, then dismisses the entire room. Once outside, Minju starts shaking, furiously asking Kim what he is thinking. She knows he put up that barrier, and taking the fall just to protect his crew is completely insane. Besides, a kid wouldn't magically bypass a cleared gate unless someone deliberately set this whole thing up. Trust me, you and I are going to find out exactly who is behind this trap very soon. Alright, you and I are about to watch our main character deal with a massive setup. He knows getting the real culprit to confess in such a short time is impossible against these powerful elites. Finding solid evidence before the hearing is basically impossible. Walking away, he admits he knew it was a trap the moment Vega appeared in that dungeon and targeted him directly. But honestly, none of that matters. He is on the verge of unlocking another crazy skill, even if Kim-ju completely disagrees with his reckless moves. Seriously, how does a kid wander into a dungeon that disappears in 30 minutes? Plus, the zone was already cleared. There should not have been any monsters left inside. This was 100% a frame-up targeting Kim Jun-woo. The culprit has to be an association insider, but our frustrated huntress is completely powerless to stop it. Her crew smells a rat too. They refuse to let Jun-woo take the fall alone and resolve to unmask the real culprit, leaving their leader hesitating on the final call. Making up her mind, she halts all operations to focus entirely on hunting down the saboteur. The mission can wait. She looks at her team and asks if anyone objects. Complete silence, no objections, but before they can move, the deputy manager steps in. Just hours ago, Assistant Sun Hyen was crying over this disaster on her very first day. Lee Young stands nearby, trying to predict the operations team's next move. That is when she learns Kim Jun-woo is taking the blame, despite being completely innocent. The deputy manager finds it bizarre. Who sacrifices themselves to protect a team? She cannot fathom his plan, but maybe, just maybe, this kid can clean up the entire corrupt association. She turns to her assistant, asking if they should help the operations team hunt the real culprit. Cut to the present, and the leader wonders why support is showing up. The deputy manager offers to help, but the leader admits they are stuck and only have security footage to check. Now pay attention here, because Lee Young arrived at the absolute perfect time. Without her police authorization, those cameras are completely off limits. Sure, the dungeon itself has no security cameras, but nearby parked cars have dash cams. Assistant Hayan is tracking them right now. Once found, the deputy manager's official paperwork will let them bypass any legal red tape to view the footage. The leader is grateful, but Lee does not work for free. She immediately asks if the huntress has a close connection to our main character. She is dying to know his deal. Is he some elite freelancer? A spy? This is the absolute first time Kim Ju has heard such wild rumors. The deputy manager is baffled, since those rumors have been buzzing around HQ forever. Blushing, the huntress admits she is pretty friendless in the association. Lee Young is stunned that she actually believes he is just a lowly janitor. Now everyone just feels bad for her. A janitor tanking a massive scandal, and a team leader launching an entire rogue operation to save him. Seeing actual decent people in this toxic association deeply impresses the deputy manager. She wants a face-to-face with Kim Jun-woo, With that, the team gears up for action. Meanwhile, Kim Jun-woo is prepping for his hearing when So-yeon calls. She is frantically looking for Kim Ju, but our main character tells her team leaders are always impossible to reach. She gets it, but mentions a bizarre text telling her to stall Jun-woo at the conference for as long as possible. Instantly realizing Kim Ju's dangerous plan, he abruptly cuts the call short. He rings the leader immediately because this is a terrible idea. She picks up, announcing they are heading to Daejeon. Our hero snaps back, telling her, this is absolutely not her job. You and I both know she is way too stubborn to back down. Determined to help, she goes hunting for those dash cams, completely ignoring his desperate warnings to stay out of it. Realizing he cannot stop her, he demands the location of those cars instead. She promises to send the info and starts mentioning the injured kid, but he completely hangs up on her. Out of pure rage and panic, he starts screaming right in the street. If they dig too deep, they will uncover his secret, destroying his only shot at returning to the future. Activating his insane super speed, Jun-woo tears through the streets. Meanwhile, the deputy manager arrives at the hospital, introducing herself to the injured kid's family. The child's furious relative snaps, turning his back on her in disgust. She quickly explains that while the janitor is making a public statement, the guy is completely innocent. But the man scoffed. He actually wants Jun-woo to take the fall. Meanwhile, across town, a completely oblivious driver parks his car in a lot, dreaming about what to eat for dinner. He decides on fried chicken, but out of nowhere, Kim Jun-woo slams face first into his window. Terribly startled, the driver thinks it's a zombie attack. The exhausted runner begs him to cooperate with the association. The driver is baffled. Why would a powerful association need anything from a regular guy? But before he can process it, our hero literally rips the dash cam straight off the car. The driver screams in absolute fury, but Jun-woo just promises the association will cover the damages. He triggers his super speed once more, racing to destroy the other dash cams. The search team arrives moments later, finally spotting the target vehicle. Kim Ju politely asks the owner for assistance, but the furious driver tells them to get lost before he files a lawsuit. It is no use. The dash cam is completely obliterated. The team leader realizes someone beat them to the punch, totally confused by what this mysterious saboteur is trying to pull off. Back at the hospital, the deputy manager confronts the relative. Demanding to know why he is targeting an innocent man, she asks if someone in the association paid him to stage this framing. Turns out, this guy was a hunter himself. He laughs off the idea of taking orders from the association, claiming those suits could not even apologize properly for what they did to his younger brother. Hearing they want help only fuels his anger, and he shuts down completely. With bystanders staring, Lee Young decides it is best to retreat and return when things quiet down. Stomping back to the hospital room, the hunter keeps cursing the association. But his little brother begs him to stop, crying that he is sick of hospital beds and endless painful injections. Softening his tone, the older brother tells him to hang tough so they can get payback. But suddenly, the window shatters with a massive crash. Kim Jun-woo has just busted right in. Instantly, the truth hits him. This man deactivated the barrier and unleashed the monster. He literally dragged his own little brother into a deadly dungeon just to secure his petty revenge. The terrified kid realizes his brother is targeting the hero who saved his life, but the man blames the economy, screaming how hard survival is while jobless. Annoyed, our warrior notes the man started this fight but decides to forgive him anyway. Because bizarrely enough, this whole mess unlocked his brand new polymorph skill. Turning to leave, he warns the man to raise the kid right, instead of poisoning his mind with endless bitterness. The boy walks to his weeping brother, whispering that his enemy just forgave him. By morning, a swarm of eager reporters gathers, waiting for the janitor's official press statement. Stepping up, our hero formally apologizes for the disaster. He publicly lies that he forgot to set up the safety barrier, taking absolute, sole responsibility for the entire accident. But before he can finish, the cleaning crew leader interrupts the entire conference. Stepping onto the stage, he shocks the crowd, telling our main character to step aside because the team is saving him today. He declares he is the boss, so the blame lies with him. And trust me, you and I just witnessed the ultimate act of loyalty. Alright, you and I are about to see the team take the blame, but our main character, Kim Jun-woo, is not grateful. Honestly, he is deeply annoyed that they are messing up his plans. When a reporter asks if the cleaning team caused the incident, the team takes the hit individually, protecting the organization as a whole. Jun-woo yells at everyone to shut up, demanding the press blame him alone. Suddenly, Kim Minju interrupts and announces that the injured child has a statement of his own. The kid explains he entered the dungeon by choice and apologizes. As the crowd watches in utter confusion, the team leader steps up, declaring the cleaning crew entirely innocent. Her brother, watching from a distance, scoffs that nobody will believe a kid. The deputy manager notes the boy did everything possible to shield his older brother's actions. The older brother blames himself for letting his little brother suffer. Resolving to turn himself in, he heads into the press conference. The kid watches him approach as we trigger a flashback. We see them at their father's funeral, where the older brother vowed to protect him. Back at the press conference, the kid panics as his brother begins to confess. The boy tearfully asks if he is going to jail, and the brother admits he must pay for his crime. The kid breaks down, realizing his brother is going to prison for him. But the older brother reassures him, promising he will return quickly. He tells the boy to eat well and behave at school, while the kid begs him to stay safe. The older brother keeps taking all the blame, which only irritates Kim Minju further. Meanwhile, Junwoo's unlocked skills are complete game changers. Super speed, hellfire, hyper-immersion, and finally, polymorph. The next day, our protagonist realizes he successfully unlocked all 4 abilities. He still thinks his team ruined his grand plans yesterday, but the public's interest in them is exploding. Now pay attention here, one press conference was all it took to get the public obsessed with the cleaning team. He asks Minju why they are even there. The team leader introduces the deputy manager to our main character, who politely greets her. She introduces herself, but Junwoo is completely clueless as to why she is doing this. Then it clicks, this woman is Lee Ah-young, his former secretary from his past life. She extends her hand for a polite handshake, but he is thrown off by how genuinely human she seems right now. To him, she is a suspicious figure who was eventually murdered, so he knows he must proceed with caution. As they shake hands, she praises him, saying she has heard great things. Sitting down, the deputy manager notes he is less charismatic than expected. He asks if he should be, and she laughs. She gets straight to the point. Ah-young asks how far he wants to go in life. Seeing his confusion, she rephrases it, asking how high he wants to climb in the Hunter Association. She claims he could even aim for the prestigious Director General position. While she wants to see the organization grow, she admits that strict hierarchy is not really her style. Currently, both the cleaning and support teams are treated like absolute garbage. Seeing him shatter those norms and stand up to leadership made her realize he is the catalyst for real change. She and her support team are fully determined to back him up and help him rise. Looking at each other, they realize they share the exact same ambitions. The team leaders sitting between them can practically feel their overwhelming presence. The deputy manager does not know his exact plans, but she is certain he has some wild tricks ready. Minju interrupts, asking if Ah-young really speaks for the entire support team, but she confidently agrees. She has a massive following there, ready to back him up with gear maintenance, and support. Her immense confidence is clear to see. After all, her father is one of the top executives in the Hunter Association. Thanks to Lee Deo-kyu, she became a manager at an incredibly young age, working closely with him to build a solid network. But that did not last. Her father was abruptly fired and stripped of power. Because of this, Ah-young lost her grip on the support team. She ended up working as his secretary instead, turning her into a cold, ruthless person. Let's think about this for a second. Junwoo starts wondering if all of this was Lee Do-kyu's plan to tear the entire cleaning and operations team apart. So, while he thanks her for the offer, he flat out rejects it. Stunned, the deputy manager asks why he is turning down her vital help. He coldly claims he needs nobody, making her call him an egocentric jerk. Our protagonist knows that trusting her is a massive gamble. He casually says he has no real reason to decline, yet he turns and walks out anyway. Returning to the cleaning office, his team warmly welcomes him back. The captain mentions that Han Sang-hyuk has taken a few days off. Junwoo asks if he is sick, but Park Jun explains the guy is hosting his sister, who just arrived in Korea. His sister works for the International Association and is his only family. Junwoo knows dealing with a big shot from the headquarters means Sang-hyuk is going to be incredibly busy. This means the remaining crew will handle the weekend shift alone. First up on the chore list is scrubbing a nasty acid solution spill off the dungeon floor. Exhausted, they complain about the endless work, completely unaware that someone is lurking in the shadows. It is Han Sang-guk, a young journalism student obsessed with writing an article on this cleaning crew. He explains that headquarters approved his research, but the crew cannot fathom the sudden hype. Sang-guk tells them that after the recent incident, the entire world is eager to learn about their team. While some praise them and others throw shade, nobody actually understands what they do. That is why he is dead set on writing an exclusive, deeply detailed piece about them. Whispering among themselves, they are not thrilled but do not see any harm either. Park Jun worries a bad article might turn the public against them even more, and our main character agrees. But the former hunter asks the journalist a vital question. Will this article actually recruit more hands? Unfortunately, the student admits a simple piece might not be enough. So, Junwoo strikes a deal, make the cleaning gig look like the easiest job in the world. Do that, and he can write whatever he wants. Hyped, the journalist promises to write that dungeon cleaning is so easy, even little kids will dream of doing it. Meanwhile, the higher-ups worry this piece will make the crew even more popular. But the director general is confident, believing nobody wants a dirty, unglamorous job. Suddenly, a terrible thought hits him. He asks if they told the cleaning team about the interview, and the staff member realizes he screwed up big time. Two tags-along reporters remark on how brutal it is to clean a dungeon. One of them eagerly asks Junwoo how long he has been working this job. They chatter loudly, firing off endless annoying questions. Junwoo is incredibly irritated by their constant whispering and having to babysit them, but he reminds himself that this mind-numbing grind is the only way to unlock his skills. More importantly, a glowing article could bring in fresh recruits, but the moment they step into the dungeon, they run right into a terrifying beast. The terrified reporters are stunned to find the monster is already dead, immediately questioning what Junwoo plans to do. This is his moment to shine and put on an absolute show. Thrilled by the chance to slice up the monster, his eyes light up. Without hesitation, he stabs his sword deep into the beast's stomach, inviting a reporter to join in on the fun. And that's where we leave it, with the giant monster shredded like a teddy bear and monster blood splattered everywhere. Stick around to see what happens next. Let's jump right in as Sanction recoils, totally paralyzed by what he saw. Now the cleaning crew is glaring at him with heavy threats, warning him to watch his step. Terrified, the guy just passes out. The crew panics and rushes to help, while Kim Junwoo quietly plans to completely change how everyone sees him. A reporter is blown away by this cleanup crew's insane workload. They have zero backup and scrub multiple dungeons daily. He cannot believe they actually enjoy this job despite being utterly exhausted and sleep-deprived. Realizing how bad that looks for the news, the cleaner scrambles to find a selling point. Right on cue, his buddy reminds him of the best part: payday. Let's face it, cash is the only real draw here. Even if a gig is terrible, throwing piles of money at people will get them interested, especially when they hear there is a fat bonus waiting. But when he checks his balance, his jaw drops in disappointment. It is complete pennies compared to what he used to pull in as a hunter. Over 300 hours of grueling labor for pocket change. Yet, the rest of the crew is just thrilled to make a tiny bit extra. Kim Junwoo starts sweating as the reporter edges closer to his screen, about to realize the pay is actually pathetic. No one in their right mind would do this for scraps. If this gets published, even desperate job seekers will run away. Thinking fast, he cooks up a massive lie on the spot, claiming this meager amount is only half of their monthly pay. The interviewer buys it completely, feeling relieved. If that's only half, then these guys are secretly rolling in cash. That's a massive selling point to lure in recruits despite the brutal labor. But his teammates are sweating bullets over this massive lie. If they get caught, they can kiss any chance of ever hiring new rookies goodbye. Junwoo shrugs it off, loudly doubled down on his story. Meanwhile, the big boss in the office washing his hands of this entire mess, wanting absolutely nothing to do with him. As far as he is concerned, Junwoo is backed by the president and is also totally unhinged. He cannot comprehend why a top hunter would join a cleaning crew unless he has some shady motive. Either way, he wants to stay far away from him. But watch closely, because right then, Junwoo bursts through the door anyway. See all sighs, asking what kind of chaos he is bringing today. Cutting straight to the chase, Junwoo demands a massive raise. The boss is stunned. He is just a rookie on a 1-month probation. Still, out of pure curiosity, he asks for a number. Without skipping a beat, Junwoo demands double. The boss instantly loses his mind. He cannot believe the audacity of a temp making demands like this. But Junwoo argues the low pay is a joke for their workload. To end the headache, the director offers to raise only his pay. But the kid doubled down, demanding double pay for his entire team. This completely triggers the boss. Furious, he asks if Junwoo genuinely hates him to throw such a ridiculous proposal in his face. While the boss rants about company politics, Junwoo just studies him in silence. Finally, the director backtracks, saying it requires board approval anyway. Negotiation closed. Disappointed, the young man realizes he jumped the gun, hoping this deal would help him unlock 2 of his locked skills. Suddenly, another director barges in shouting about favoritism toward Team 1. Only after making a scene does the loudmouth realize a rookie is standing right there. Junwoo politely says he is on his way out. But as he exits, the loud director follows him right into the hall. You might think this is weird, but watch this. Out of nowhere, he grabs a selfie with Junwoo. Turns out, this powerful director, Lee Duchik, is a huge fan. Though, Junwoo knows he is actually on the verge of losing his power. Worse yet, he is the dad of Lee Aeon, the girl he is trying to dodge. It is hilarious seeing a strict executive fanboying like this. Clearly, Junwoo's cleanup work is going viral if even the corporate elites are paying attention. Hyping up all of his achievements, the boss gushes about how everyone in the company is talking about him. While Junwoo has no idea how these rumors started, he seizes the chance to complain about their low pay. Luckily, the director is willing to listen and promises to see what he can do. But our guy is sharp. He knows this sudden flattery means the executive wants something in return. The executive suspects the rival director is pulling strings to favor Team 1. But Junwoo plays dumb, claiming he knows nothing about corporate power struggles. The man lets it slide, but tells him to build a solid case for that raise. Still, Junwoo is empty-handed. But the deal is not dead. The boss sees a golden chance to push Team 2 to the top under Junwoo. This stops Team 1's favoritism while letting Team 2 crush them in results. Now they just need massive results to justify the raise to the board. Dutchik puts the heat on him, telling him to prove he is actually the real deal. Days later, the team gathers, completely confused by the sudden meeting. Junwoo kicks it off by asking about the upcoming payday for the operations crew. His eyes show pure focus. He is determined to merge Team 3 with Team 2 and secure that #1 spot. In this very moment, he accepts the massive challenge. When they ask why they are here, he asks if their earnings have been fair. They scoff, complaining about zero support, while Team 1 is backed by Director Cheol and Team 3 has an elite hunter. Junwoo demands victory, promising to carry them all. They are stunned by his confidence, but he leads like a boss, making everyone feel valuable. He asks if they are ready to go all in. Kim View gets fired up instantly, and the rest of the crew catches the hype. He claims their work is not useless, but actually the backbone of the entire guild system. It requires flawless teamwork with operations. But right as they get hyped, another surprise walks in. They are not alone in this fight. The reluctant deputy manager of the support team steps in, even though she is annoyed about helping the guy who previously turned her down. The air gets tense as she smugly reminds him that after blowing her off, he has crawled back admitting he needs her help. It is not going to be cheap. Knowing he needs her to win, Junwoo swallows his pride and plays along with her teasing. Smiling, she plays her part and formally offers her full support. Excited, he details the master plan, assigning the support team highly complex tasks that leave their leader completely speechless. He demands high-tier weapons and support drones, which she finds totally insane. But to him, this is not a game. He is here to show his true colors and refuses to lose. With absolute confidence, he declares their only goal is first place. She warns that Team 1 has insider info, but that does not matter. Dungeons are unpredictable. And trust me, you and I are about to see his wild intuition prove everybody wrong. Alright, you and I are starting with a crazy twist. Suddenly, one twin pops up, asking how the cleaning crew could just abandon an operation like this. They all start realizing he might actually be right. But boom. A massive crash cuts them off. A dungeon just spawned, exactly like Jen warned. This is it, back out now, or buckle up for the ride of your life. Aang leaps into action to gear up the support team. Taking control of HQ, she starts pumping out heavy weapons and protective armor. Impatient, she snaps at a teammate who wants to stop production. She knows a single delay ruins everything, so she demands they order even more materials immediately. Fired up and completely furious, she screams in frustration. Her assistant panics, knowing for a fact that Team 1 is on their way. She does not care. She is ready to crush Director Chol and Team 1. Suddenly, explosions rock the dungeon. A massive skull rises, unleashing a horde of angry skeletons. The chaos begins as the leader of Team 2 charges right in. She lands lethal, precise strikes, wielding her blade with incredible mastery. A colossal iron skeleton blocks their path, a beast requiring insane power. Junwoo instantly spots its weak point, the neck bone, and decides to take this monster down completely solo. Meanwhile, Team 1 joins the fray using every skill they have. Kim Ju dives straight in, proving she is a force to be reckoned with. Using her crazy strength and agility, she launches her leader into the air. It is basically a flight straight toward the giant skull, while the rest of the crew fires high-voltage lightning weapons. Mid-air, Minju triggers her ultimate skill. The glowing eyes of the skull stare her down, but she hits it with so much force, the head completely explodes into dust. Junwoo is left stunned. But pay attention here, out of nowhere, giant skeletal hands smash him into falling debris, making his teammate scream in pure terror. But as the dust clears, our hero is still standing strong. A sword lies waiting at his feet. He triggers his ultimate skill, unleashing a massive surge of pure, raw energy. The giant monster stares him down. Suddenly, his blade explodes with blinding light. He launches a high kick mid-air, unleashing power so overwhelming it is almost hard to believe. That is the signal for their wild cleanup plan. Park makes an incredibly dramatic entrance, dangling right from a flying drone. Honestly, the second-hand embarrassment is real. Armed with a high-tech saw, he slices right through the monster bones. He is so amazed by the weapon, he wants to keep it forever, but yeah, no way. In the control room, Aeong frantically yells that another dungeon just opened in Suodon. First mission is a total success, and everyone is confident they will easily take first place. But Team 1 is starting to feel the heavy pressure of Team 2 rising fast. The report reaches Director Cheel, and it looks terrible, predicting a total wipeout by Team 2. Once again, the boss completely loses his mind at that cocky cleaner, Kim Jun-woo. Furious, he orders his team to use every power they have instead of standing around. Even though Team 1 is completely exhausted, the boss just keeps screaming orders at them. Meanwhile, Kim Jun-woo pushes forward. He warns his crew that the monster is growing stronger by the second, so they have to strike hard and keep piling on the damage. Jun-woo tells a totally exhausted Park to take a breather. As Team 3 watches the giant beast, Team 1 clings to their lead, but Team 2 is right on their heels. Now, I know what you are thinking, this alliance is brilliant. But for the boss, he is absolutely furious, calling the whole thing totally unfair. If the control team keeps helping, they might become independent. The boss demands to know if Shanghai is working with the cleaners. Shaking, the man denies everything. To play it safe, Shanghai is officially banned from approving any more missions. The boss feels he has already given way too much freedom to Operations Team 2. Deep in the dungeon, a member asks if they should wait before moving on, but the leader says no. He turns to Mr. Koo, asking if he thinks this is easy. Koo laughs, saying his job is just watching others work a literal dream gig. Slapping a hand on the reporter's shoulder, he mentions recruiting more help and asks for his support. Koo quietly grumbles that he should have just said so sooner. Suddenly, the support manager breaks in, announcing an emergency that means they have to withdraw immediately. It turns out Team 1 secured priority over all dungeons, thanks to Michael's son. Now, Team 1 has grabbed way more clears, locking down the lead. They are forcing the cleaners to do all the heavy lifting. With only 3 dungeons left, they are desperate. Losing means kiss goodbye to that raise and their big news article. By now, Team 1 has pulled even further ahead. Even worse, there are still too many dungeons to clear, but they cannot stop, or the beasts will run completely wild. Our hero is not worried about himself, but about his crew. Deciding to call in backup, he openly calls Michael, so a complete and total idiot. The jerk cannot fathom how they pulled this off, calling them ungrateful. He demands the control leader step forward, but the deputy manager suddenly shows up, completely uninvited. The boss snaps that he warned her not to bother him, but she calmly states she is here to report something massive. He yells, asking how she dares to speak to her boss like that, which is total nonsense, honestly. She knew the dangers of uncleared dungeons, yet her team sent out most of the cleaning crew anyway. The hero even left her a message saying she wasted her time. She walks away feeling totally excluded, but realizes she has zero time to sit around and complain. She is going to join the cleanup herself. The boss bursts out laughing at this, mocking the message, and instantly orders his assistant to file a massive disciplinary case. It is clear he has lost control of the cleaners. Now, neither the warrior nor the irritated boss has any idea what their next move should even be. One manager whispers that they have gone way too far to turn back now. Suddenly, an assistant bursts in, yelling to call operations because Team 2 and support went to help the cleaners. It is wild to think they would abandon the mission for that. A teammate says it is actually great since they can secure the top rank. But the boss snaps, calling him an idiot because they just lost their only fix. She asks why the cuts are not done yet, but Kim Ju explains you cannot force it. You must slice along the direction of the fiber. Usually, fluid pours out, but since they are rushing, they need to dismantle the beast first. The warrior notes Aeong is doing great for her very first cleanup. She explains she is doing well because she just assisted them earlier. Pouting, the deputy manager complains about being left out, wishing she could have joined the action. The swordswoman gets nervous, but her friend laughs it off. And trust me, you and I cannot wait to see what wild battle comes next. Alright, you and I are diving back into this crazy dungeon story as Kim Jun-woo urges everyone to pack up before the gates shut. Tired but grateful, Kim Ju thanks her mentor as they prepare to head out. Noticing her mentor acting off, the warrior asks if something is bothering him. He sighs, admitting he feels responsible for all the needless suffering his teammates have been forced to endure. Surprised by his sudden vulnerability, she admits she never expected him to care this much. Park Juna tells him not to worry since they will follow his plan no matter what. Besides, who cares about rankings? She wonders what secrets lie behind those heavy dungeon doors after spending 4 long days just cleaning. She suggests working overtime during their 3 weeks off, but her teammate instantly shuts that down. This crew still has plenty of energy, but right now, food is the priority. As they get ready to finally head home, a sudden figure blocks their path. It is Lee Dick, declaring their little agreement is officially over. He claims everyone is just chasing personal achievements now, meaning he cannot allow any more of their operations. So, the control team is taking over all active missions, dropping Team 2 to second place in the rankings, while the rest of the crew is happy after 4 grueling days of cleaning. Our warrior is far from satisfied. He did not unlock his target skill. The boss calls it a win, but Kim Jun-woo only gets more stressed. Still, the boss admits he is incredibly proud of their hard work. He mentions having something important to discuss with our protagonist, but the young man is not excited for this chat at all. The boss is incredibly transparent with his hidden motives, and Jun-woo wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Back at base, Park Juna thanks the crew, but the deputy manager suggests celebrating with a big meal. The team excitedly agrees, insisting that Jun-woo tag along with them. Reluctantly, the young man realizes he cannot say no to a free dinner. Soon, everyone is drinking, laughing, and celebrating. Meanwhile, headquarters holds a disciplinary meeting to address the recent incident. The team captain argues they did their duty cleaning the dungeons, unaware that all resources were funneled to Team 1. But wait until you hear the CEO's ridiculous justification. He claims he let Team 1 hoard the resources because they are the elites. Obviously, nobody buys this garbage, leading to a massive pay cut for him, while the control team head gets reprimanded too. And here's where things get interesting. Jun-woo meets up with the deputy manager at a quiet cafe. She admits that backing him came with a hefty price tag. Sarcastically, he replies that he thought her help was a selfless act of pure kindness, not a calculated business move. But she quickly shoots back, saying she never works for free. He asks if this involves the executive director. She denies it, calling the matter personal, but finds it weird he made that connection since she never revealed Lee Yusik was her father. He hides his shock. Regardless, headquarters is now keeping a close eye on the cleaning team. Our protagonist finds the attention normal given all their recent chaotic incidents, but the deputy manager reveals it is actually the complete opposite. Everyone is incredibly jealous. Despite the massive hurdles, they still secured second place in the rankings, and their collective cleaning efforts have massively boosted their performance scores. She notes he was clearly aiming for the top spot, but he is confused about what that has to do with their current deal. She drops a bomb. The association finally recognizes their value and is adding another cleaning team. And according to her, nobody is more qualified than him to lead this brand new squad. They need a true expert, and despite being a mere cleaner, he is the perfect fit. He is officially being promoted to captain, but he has only been here for 2 months. He feels uneasy taking the captain title from Park Ja, but she explains they create a brand new role, cleaning division chief, and Captain Park is already moving up to fill it. The original plan was to offer it to Jun-woo, but she knew he would refuse. Thinking it over, he starts to realize this might not be so bad. The catch? Being a captain means a mountain of new work and actual responsibilities. He asks what hiring new staff has to do with her anyway. She claims it is not her business, but thinks it would be entertaining to watch. Smugly, he replies, he does not need her worry. Plenty of people will line up to apply. Confused, she asks what he means. He explains his genius plan to have a journalist write a glowing article making the job sound incredibly easy, but she interrupts the article is already live. You could probably guess his reaction, but when Jun-woo checks his phone, he absolutely loses it. The journalist painted the job as a brutal, high-stakes nightmare that very few could survive. He wrote that they are not just basic cleaners, but an elite unit whose work is just as vital as combat operations. This team is what keeps the entire operation alive, hyping Jun-woo up as a visionary leader who genuinely cares about the future. The writer is clearly proud of his own masterpiece. Back at the office, the manager asks if the article met his expectations, since the public now views them as a high-tier special operations unit. Their reputation has skyrocketed, but because of it, absolutely nobody is applying. Everyone thinks the gig is way too hard and that they are simply not worthy of the role. Our hero is absolutely furious, cursing the writer out. Meanwhile, Lee Suang is in disbelief over the promotion, since only Lee Duchik should have the executive power to make such a call. Michio points out it doesn't matter because Jun-woo holds all the real cards now. If this goes through, the young man will be fully in charge of Team 6. The CEO wants to replicate this team model for Team 3, aiming to put someone far more elite than Jun-woo in charge. In other words, they plan to build a new unit and expand their political reach. He claims his only goal is finding qualified people, as directors Song Chik and Koyoung head out to take the reins and recruit top-tier talent for the position. Lee Su notes it might actually work. If this plan succeeds, they could easily claw back their lost influence within the Hunter Association. In short, whoever snatches control of Team 6 will hold the power to reshape the association's entire future. Either way, he tasks Su Yang with scouting elite freelance hunters. When Su Yang asks about the criteria, the boss demands high-ranking hunters with active combat experience. Ideally, finding a younger prodigy for the role would be perfect. They can easily afford to lose one battle. Meanwhile, our protagonist sips his tea, asking Kim Ju if his sudden promotion will make the team resent him, though his friend quickly disagrees. She explains the organization's mindset and asks how his recruitment drive is going. Naturally, our protagonist has not done a single thing and does not want to. He admits he has no connections, making her realize just how lonely he actually is. Jun-woo has zero motivation and refuses to stress over it. She asks what his dream team criteria would be. He wants someone obedient and cheerful, then flips the question back to ask what she would look for. And that is where we leave it today. Who is this mysterious guy at the door? All right, you and I are about to dive into the craziest hunter recap yet. Chang Han, the control team leader, is desperate, telling Jun-woo he has to take over the notorious cleaning Team 6. He explains the association's higher-ups want to plant their own puppet in that team. Out of options, Chang Han begs Jun-woo for help, completely exhausted from dealing with director Min-chul. Now, everyone has their eyes on Team 6. They want a powerful figure like Kim Jun-woo to take the lead. Still, Jun-woo finds it incredibly suspicious that people are suddenly fighting over a lowly cleaning team instead of the elite combat operations squad. Chang Han hands over a stacked list of elite prospects recruited from massive guilds, begging him to choose the best. But Jun-woo is just completely overwhelmed by the mountain of paperwork and this ridiculous request. The manager warns that a rival squad could easily overshadow him if he refuses. Still hesitant, our main character shrugs, asking why this guy is suddenly acting like his life depends on it. The manager complains about managing too many teams, but Jun-woo cuts him off. The man continues, bluntly stating that absolutely no decent team would ever want to serve under Jun-woo anyway. Jun-woo tells him to shut up because a brilliant plan just clicked. Suddenly, this dumpster fire of an offer sounds pretty sweet. Chang Han stands frozen, stunned that the genius actually accepted. Giddy with joy, the manager welcomes his new partner. Demanding the full candidate roster, Jun-woo smirks, realizing this is the perfect golden ticket to unlock his sealed powers. Elsewhere, a young hunter named Se-in complains about the gross trash smell in the air. Suddenly, he jumps back, spotting his sister lounging on his couch, demanding to know what she is doing. She shoves her phone in his face, showing a viral article about his cleaning crew. Se-in's jaw drops. His sister, Han Yubin, is planning to apply for his team. And hey, a job is a job, especially since her brother has been nagging her to work. Meanwhile, Jun-woo calculates his next skill unlock requirement, realizing this job should be an absolute breeze. He just needs to balance a fair workload with decent pay and a healthy environment. But let's be real, the association's overworked cleaning squad has absolutely none of that. Now, pay attention here, this is where everything starts to get tricky. Their job satisfaction is at a miserable 18%, but Jun-woo hopes a new squad under his control can turn things around. He is exactly the fearless leader this broken department needs. Suddenly, a rugged hunter with a scar across his mouth stands before Jun-woo, staring him down with massive attitude. The scarred warrior explains he heard whispers about the association's chaos and the creation of this brand new cleaning squad. Since he's been freelancing after leaving his top-tier guild, he claims he's doing the kid a massive favor. Taking a slow sip of coffee, Jun-woo tells him he should be begging for a spot, rather than boasting about his expired vice leader title. Enraged, the hunter yells, threatening that he will regret this arrogant disrespect. But our savage MC casually replies he already regrets talking to him. As the trash takes itself out, Jun-woo scoffs at how a mere A rank could act so high and mighty. Turns out, the rest of the job interviews are equally disastrous. Every candidate is an arrogant clown acting like they are doing him a favor. Gripping the files, Jun-woo wonders how Park even compiled such a useless list of losers. Suddenly, A-young calls to thank him for tracking down an amazing prospect, leaving him totally baffled. She explains that a young woman named Han Yubin is currently waiting to see him. Urging him to rush over immediately, Jun-woo heads to the meeting spot. The fiery red-haired girl introduces herself, while our main character just stares blankly, having absolutely no clue who she is. A-young whispers, asking how he keeps recruiting these wild talents, but he is completely clueless. With hands on her hips, Yubin grumbles that she expected a much more charismatic boss. Jun-woo sighs, starting the interview. When he asks why she wants to clean dungeons, Yubin confidently says it suits her, but our MC immediately disagrees. She explains that her official hunter license was permanently revoked after she got fired. Left with absolutely no abilities or prospects, she figured she might as well apply here. Junwoo asks if she even understands what a dungeon cleaner actually does. Yubin nods, questioning why he is not asking about her scandalous termination, but he bluntly replies he does not care. She explains that in America, cleaning crews only dispose of gross monster remnants, making Junwoo realize she might actually have some brains. But right out of nowhere, you and I both know she's got it twisted, right? The ex-hunter claims Korean cleaners secretly lead combat raids. Confused, Junwoo's eyes widen, wondering what fantasy she is living in. He asks if she applied just because of that hyped-up viral news article. When she nods, he breaks the news the Korean cleaning team is just as miserable as the American one. Giggling, Yubin smugly claims she knew he'd say that. Intrigued, Junwoo asks what she means. She nervously explains that the US branch used the exact same cover story as bait, weeding out lazy idiots, trying to sneak into the elite raid teams. Looking over her file, Junwoo thinks she is completely nuts, but her combat stats are undeniably top tier. She's a former elite hunter from the International Association, ranking as a high-tier berserker. The only issue? She doesn't fit the vibe of a regular cleaner, even if she lacks the bloated ego of the previous clowns. He concludes that while she is incredibly powerful, she is not built for janitorial labor. Left with no choice, he prepares to reject her. Suddenly, he remembers a rumor about Sei's sister being a Foreign Association hunter. When he asks her about it, she panics, begging him not to tell her brother. This realization brings a wicked smirk to Junwoo's face. If her own brother is on his crew, she won't dare slack off or disrespect the heavy labor. Right on cue, Sei bursts in, screaming that she shouldn't be here since she doesn't even clean her own room. Yubin screams back, yelling that he told her to get a job. Losing his mind, Sei rants that he didn't mean his workplace. Meanwhile, Junwoo watches the sibling chaos unfold, wondering if hiring her was actually a terrible mistake. Later, at the association headquarters, Junwoo sits down with two major figures for the official interviews, the HR team leader and the association's powerful general director. Junwoo knows these high-ranking officials would normally never invite a cleaner to this table, but Young firmly argued that recruiting a cleaning squad without a cleaner's input was completely stupid. Scanning the applicant files, Junwoo realizes every single one of them is ridiculously overqualified. We have got former guild leaders, ex-raid tacticians, and an international hunter. Thanks to her legendary background, Yubin is easily his favorite pick. The HR director kicks off the trial, asking how they would handle facing an absolutely unbeatable monster. Candidate Wu speaks first, stating that unless the dungeon has exit zones, he would immediately abort. Aiming to build a tactical plan, Chulsik answers he would call the control team for backup while maintaining pressure. Taewon suggests retreating and handing the hunt to a stronger vanguard team. Junwoo quietly agrees that it is a solid textbook answer. Now, it's Yubin's turn to speak. Watching her closely, the general director guesses she's Junwoo's recommendation, while the HR leader silently recalls her legendary status in the Global Hunter Association. Yubin speaks up, declaring that if they realize a boss is unbeatable mid-fight, the raid has already failed. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this wild answer lands. You and I are starting right as she chooses self-elimination over a humiliating fight, leaving the entire room in absolute silence. Kim internally admits he definitely picked a total lunatic for his candidate. Meanwhile, far away, Minju and Yaen are enjoying some well-deserved free time now that report season is finally over. Curious, the cleaner asks if all the candidates are actually former hunters. She confirms it, explaining they want to copy Kim's legendary team. Minju warns they are seriously underestimating our boy, since recreating his squad's magic is not something you can just pull off easily. Sipping her tea, Young points out that the higher-ups just love copying whatever is trending to gain cheap attention, and she can easily picture the candidates they dragged in just to claim ownership of the cleaning crew. The hunter admits she honestly thought the department was finally getting the real respect it deserves. Looking worried, she says they better pray Kim's candidate actually wins. This immediately makes the other two dying to know exactly who our main character picked. Without spoiling anything, Young admits she knows very little about the girl, except that she is a highly intriguing choice. Back at the interview, an interviewer asks the young candidate what else she must do during missions besides slaying monsters. Shrugging, Yubin asks if they mean gear, clearly finding the question totally brainless. Crossing her arms, she boldly asks if performance matters more than actually protecting people inside the Korean Association. Deeply embarrassed, Kim wonders how she even survived the American branch, silently deciding he would gladly let her fail if Taiwan's guy was not an even worse option. Because if they actually want to make the cleaning squad a better place, That man is easily the absolute worst candidate. Suddenly, a brilliant realization hits our boy. Why not just reject every single one of them? When the HR leader asks if he has any final questions, Kim asks exactly how many pieces a centipede monster needs to be sliced into. The executive snaps that it is a totally inappropriate question, but Kim fires back that it makes perfect sense because it is a fundamental cleanup task. Now pay attention here as the candidates sit in dead silence. Kim concludes they know nothing. He moves to a brutal question about the best way to scrub monster slime and human blood off dungeon walls. When they push back, our main character slams his hand on the table, shouting that these are basic concepts they all should know. He declares that regardless of what the other judges think, they have all failed. Later on, as the sun begins to set, Taiwan approaches him and asks if that entire dramatic debate was ultimately for nothing. Our boy replies that while he is not fully satisfied with his own candidate, she is still miles ahead of Taiwan. Smiling, the man claims Kim only trashed the interview because he was throwing a tantrum, adding that the girl will never pass anyway. Kim secretly wonders why this former guild leader is so incredibly confident, sensing something shady is going on. Suddenly, seeing her standing right beside him, he jumps back in shock. The young woman demands to know what that insane stunt was earlier, snapping that he could have warned her instead of publicly humiliating his own candidate. Sighing, our boy asks if America just accepts completely unprepared and incompetent candidates, pointing out that if she applied of her own free will, she should have actually prepared for this. Pushing further, he asks if she really thought joining the cleaning team would be that easy. Before she can reply, he states that if he had his way, this selection process would end right now. But since he cannot stop it, she needs to actually study next time instead of just winging it. Night falls fast, painting the sky with stars. We see Yubin, looking absolutely furious. Boiling with rage, she thinks about how she has never been this humiliated in her entire life, especially not by a random dungeon janitor. Sang walks in and yells at her to stop beating the pillow because she is making way too much noise. Seeing his sister's genuine fury, he tells her she should be grateful. Kim did not spit in her face, since that guy takes dungeon cleaning incredibly seriously. He warns her not to get her hopes up because she's starting at a massive disadvantage. Yubin snaps back that she does not care. She would never accept their offer anyway, and has zero interest in their stupid practical exam. Since Kim thinks she knows nothing about cleaning, joining the next round would just make her look like an idiot. Making things worse, Sang admits he is actually relieved to hear that, because he was ready to quit if she got hired. Suddenly, the doorbell rings, leaving the siblings confused since they are not expecting any visitors tonight. Let's pause for a second because you will not believe who is standing at the door. It is Minju and Se, apologizing for the late hour but offering to help Yubin prep for the second stage, leaving the former hunter utterly stunned. Inside, Minju explains she figured Yubin could use a hand with the practical test, so she brought some top-tier specialists. The siblings' jaws hit the floor when they see Park Young and the control team leader standing right in their living room. The man in the brown suit says he is cutting straight to the chase, shouting that the girl absolutely must get this job for everyone's sake. Se tells him to calm down, but the guy keeps yelling that if she fails this exam, they are all going down. Staring in disbelief, the ex-hunter wonders if the Korean Association is always this unhinged. Thanking them for their passion, she drops a bomb and announces she is dropping out of the test, leaving everyone in pure despair. 1 week later, the big day of the practical exam finally arrives. Spotting Yubin, Kim admits he is surprised she actually showed up. She fires back, asking why he selected her in the first place if he truly believes she is completely useless. Glancing at her sideways, our main character wonders where this sudden wave of confidence is coming from, especially with those dark circles under her eyes. He warns her that even if she studied, it won't matter. Yubin retorts she is only here to force an apology for his insults, but Kim scoffs that he won't apologize for speaking the truth so she can keep dreaming. Smiling, the former hunter says she is excited to see if he can actually back up those words. Irritated, our boy asks why she has such an attitude and if all American hunters are this exhausting. The girl calmly replies that thanks to him, she just survived a brutal training week with her teammates. Kim is completely confused by what she means, but the director suddenly calls for everyone to assemble. He announces that the practical test will take place inside an active dungeon, with each candidate paired up with their specific evaluator. They will face a wide range of real-world problems, and their final grades will depend entirely on how they handle each crisis. A candidate asks if the dungeon is already cleared, but the director shakes his head. The raid itself is the test, and since they are all veteran hunters, it should be a breeze. With that, the exam officially begins. Forming a straight line, they step through the glowing portal and arrive on the other side. Looking at his tablet, Lee announces a major issue has arisen. Strategy Team 4 is demanding urgent backup, and their group is the only squad nearby. One candidate confidently suggests they just speedrun the raid in 20 minutes flat, then head over to support the other team. The others nod in agreement. Kim silently observes that since these candidates are all elite former hunters, the association brass will not make things easy for them. Our main character makes quick notes on his clipboard, realizing that if they mess up their priorities, he will have the perfect excuse to flunk every single one of them. Suddenly, Yubin objects, calling the 20-minute plan suicide and suggesting a tactical retreat. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how they handle her defiance. Alright, you and I are diving right into this crazy exam, where the other candidates are telling this girl to go home. They are going with the crowd, leaving her furious, but our main character is shocked to realize her answer is actually correct. Think about it, the job isn't for a hunter, but a cleanup crew. That means they have to defeat the boss and clean up the entire mess in just 20 minutes. That is an insanely short time limit. Intrigued, Kim wonders how Yubin figured it out so fast and what went down last week. Right on cue, a massive monster claw appears, roaring furiously at the group. Instantly, all the candidates start channeling their mana and summoning their weapons. Talon strikes first with his skill, Haywire, wrapping his entire body in a blazing red light. Suddenly, a dark slime monster codenamed Strawberry Juice blasts through the air, only to get shredded by a blonde guy using his skill, Auburn's Teeth. Their strategy is actually working, leaving deep gashes across the beast. Next up to strike is Yubin, unsheathing her massive sword. Leaping high, she drives a brutal punch straight into the monster's skull, crashing it to the floor. The judges are highly impressed, calling it classic ex-hunter power, though they know her raw skill seems a bit weaker than the rest. But then, Kim steps in, dropping a sudden warning to the cleanup squad that things just went south. All eyes turn to our boy, while Tellman lets out a smug smirk. He remembers his private chat with the Director General, who revealed that this entire practical exam was actually designed by Kim himself. Tellman had complained about having to do actual manual labor, but his recruiter shut him down, reminding him he is just a candidate and has to do whatever it takes to pass. Luckily, his leaked files contain the exact cleanup guidelines written by Kim, which are set to trigger the moment the first boss monster is defeated. The director warned him to keep it quiet since he needs a former Vice Guild leader in charge. Smirking, Tellman knew this test was going to be an absolute joke, basically handing him a free pass. Now pay attention here. Back in the present, Kim explains that the active team has to finish the sweep, but they are already running out of time to back up the main raid squad as promised. Even worse, the scenario assumes the rest of the team wiped, leaving them alone for cleanup. Tellman grits his teeth. This is nothing like the cheat sheet he was given. Standing casually with hands in his pockets, Kim demands they find a solution to this crisis, and they only have 20 minutes to pull it off. With a cold stare, our main character wonders if this guy honestly thought he would just leave the exam plan completely unchanged. Cut to a bit later, Kim starts counting down the final seconds, meaning Woo Deok is officially out of time. Panicking, the guy slams his dirty rag onto the floor. The human resources leader steps in to announce his elimination, while our main character notes that the guy clearly doesn't know the first thing about sanitation. Now it is Tellman's turn, and he is absolutely livid. He fumes at the thought of a top-tier A-rank vice leader scrubbing dirt, wondering how anyone is supposed to finish this in 20 minutes. He glares at Kim, shouting that the kid rigged this entire task on purpose because it is physically impossible. He looks at the general director, snapping that this was not their deal, leaving the boss and Lee sweating in pure embarrassment. The elite veteran flat out refuses to do it. Standing nearby, Yubin calmly points out that nobody forced him to apply. Annoyed, Tellman snaps back, but Kim intervenes, asking if he is officially forfeiting, because if so, Yubin is up next. Getting nothing but a glare from the ex-hunter, Kim takes his silence as a forfeit. Suddenly, Yubin dashes toward the beast, shouting for Kim to start the timer. Charging in, she hurls heavy bags of industrial cleaning chemicals into the air, slicing them open with lightning-fast, high-precision slashes from her massive blade. In one fluid motion, she doesn't just spread the cleaner, she perfectly dismantles the beast while completely sealing off all the toxic gas and acidic juices leaking out. Kim finally realizes she brought specialized backup gear. Yubin tosses hook grappling ropes, anchoring them deep into the carved-up pieces of the monster. Stunned, our main character realizes she might actually finish on time. This is bad. His grand master plan to fail everyone is falling apart, leaving him with zero excuses to dock her score. But wait, Tellman claims things are rigged, accusing Kim of leaking the answers. And you and I know our boy isn't about to waste this golden opportunity. Our main character calmly admits he might have done just that, driving the guy crazy with anger. Done with the job, Yubin looks right at them. She tells the former vice leader he should be ashamed of making pathetic excuses just because he failed to prepare over the entire week. She taunts him, saying he only got here through cheap connections with the general manager, adding that she was actually excited to see his highly boasted elite skills, but is now left totally disappointed. Clearly, he was never a real leader at his old guild. Seething with rage, Telman flares up his combat aura, swearing she will pay dearly for humiliating him. Laughing it off, Yubin asks if he knows why she got kicked out of the American branch, telling him she just loves crushing loudmouths who are all talk. The tension is crazy, and all-out brawl is about to explode. Shaken, the elite realizes she is way stronger than expected, but he still charges forward to fight anyway. Yubin braces her defense to block his strike, but Kim suddenly grabs her arm while pinning Telman to the floor, casually asking if they really think this trashy behavior is okay in front of the exam board. Furious, the pinned hunter demands Kim take his foot off him immediately. But our boy deadpans that he is just a regular A rank, and since he initiated the attack, this is purely self-defense. Turning to Yubin, Kim tells her to stand down and sheath her blade, though she doesn't look ready to back off. Even as he holds her wrist, he feels her stubborn resistance before letting go, silently noting that combat berserkers truly possess the wildest, most difficult temperaments. With that, Kim announces the practical exam is officially closed. A bit later outside, our main character actually swallows his pride and delivers the apology Yubin demanded. Deep down, Kim has to admit she is exceptionally efficient at her job. Looking away, she admits she only pulled it off because his team helped her so much. Kim replies that it does not matter because she still put in the work to master the task. Nodding, she accepts his apology, saying they probably will not cross paths again anyway. Kim asks if she is turning down the job. Yubin confirms, reminding him she only came here to get her apology and nothing else. Besides, after the giant scene she caused today, she knows she has absolutely zero chance of passing anyway, plus, the actual labor is way too difficult, so she is going to take off. Watching her leave, our boy is clearly left very unhappy. The very next morning, right in front of a dungeon gate, Sang screams at Kim, asking if he has lost his mind by recruiting his sister into the cleanup crew. Meanwhile, we get a flashback to right after the evaluations. Relaxing on her home couch, Yubin is glad she got her apology, but she still cannot wrap her head around Kim. He easily matched her speed and blocked her full power strike with one hand as a mere janitor. And trust me, you and I are wondering the exact same thing: why is someone that powerful doing cleanup? Let's jump into a story where she decides to just give up, when suddenly her phone buzzes. Checking the screen, the former hunter realizes she actually got accepted into the dungeon cleaning crew. She screams so loud that people outside on the street actually stop and stare. Meanwhile, a furious, mustached guy punches a wall with everything he's got, absolutely livid that someone else snatched the top-secret operation file. Apparently, another copy of the file is still floating around, which sends Jason, the furious head of the International Association's control team, into an absolute rage. Yelling at the top of his lungs, he demands to know why the ex-hunter, Yubin Han, is causing trouble right now. To understand this, we have to flash back several months to a disastrous raid she once led. The ex-hunter almost gets crushed, but a long-haired girl named Angel dives in to save her. But Angel severely injures her arm in the process, leaving them both cornered by a massive, red-eyed beast. Yubin tries to send her ally away to fetch backup, but Angel just sighs and tosses something to the redhead. Clutching a necklace, Yubin asks why her friend is suddenly giving her her most prized possession. With a soft smile, Angel tells her to run and survive, immediately triggering her limit break. The blast hurls Yubin far away, screaming that she'll bring back help no matter what. Angel warns her that she better stay alive or she'll kill her. Then, stepping directly toward the giant monster, Angel quietly says her final goodbye. While being thrown clear out of the gate, Yubin desperately screams into her radio, begging for backup. Suddenly, a cold voice crackles through, telling her that no support teams are available, so her request is officially denied. In pure despair, the hunter cries out that she knows they're lying and only needs a single team. Yet, the operator coldly repeats that nobody is free to help. The man pulling the strings is Jason, who refused to send backup just to save a few bucks. To him, a hunter like Namina wasn't worth the cost of a rescue mission. So, even though Angel died, Jason couldn't care less. The executives didn't mind, and Yubin losing her cool gave him the perfect excuse to kick her out of the association completely. Now, watch closely, because everything was perfect until Yubin stole the control team's secret operation file, which could expose their dark truths and lies to the entire world. The file contains proof of all the money he embezzled and his years of corruption. Calming down, he orders Chloe to retrieve it at any cost. She asks if she should try negotiating first. Ignoring her question, Jason asks if she tracked Yubin down. Chloe confirms it, revealing that Yubin rejoined the association, but this time, she is working for the Korean branch's lowly dungeon cleaning team instead of the elites. Curious, the boss wonders what she is plotting, but realizes this is a golden opportunity. Conveniently, his branch is proposing a massive joint operation with Korea next week. Chloe nods, and the boss tells her to make sure this deal happens at all costs. Clutching a globe, he sneers that Yubin can run and hide, but she will never truly escape him. We jump back to Korea, a week after the ex-hunter got hired. We learn that Kim is now the head of the Supernatural Ability Management Association's Team 3, a job that's annoying, but gives him real power. While clearing out a dungeon, Sang grumbles that ever since Kim got promoted, he's completely lost his edge. Sean chimes in that they need teamwork, which only annoys Kim, who is totally over manual labor. Walking over, Kim complains that he hoped this promotion would unlock new powers, but instead, he's just a glorified cleaning boss with zero influence at headquarters. Suddenly, Pyam calls with an emergency. A new dungeon has popped up in Nemteriong, and they urgently need an available cleaning crew to handle it. Our main character tells him there are no free squads, so PM asks about sending the strategy team first. Kim warns that would be a disaster and asks for a minute to figure it out. He calls Yubin, asking if she's busy, and she says her squad is heading to lunch. The protagonist tells her a new gate just opened, and she needs to get her team over there immediately. Annoyed, Yubin asks why her team has to do it. Kim says it's because nobody else is free, but goads her by saying she probably can't handle it anyway. He pretends he'll look for someone else. Determined to prove him wrong, she snaps that she's already on the way. But he definitely owes her one now. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Kim is totally using her. He's been dumping all the hardest dungeons on Yubin, cutting his own workload in half. But check this out, his squad's soaring satisfaction rate actually unlocks a replica skill. Later on, Park's son runs in, proudly holding his dad's freshly ironed clothes. Surprised, the father says he didn't have to do that, before looking down at his worn-out old uniform. Smiling warmly, he kneels down and tells his son those old clothes won't need ironing anymore. Why? Because he just got promoted to manager of the association's entire cleaning division. Walking down the street, two friends compliment his sharp new look, congratulating him on the big promotion and wishing him the best of luck on day one. Elsewhere, we find Minju and another girl looking seriously stressed over a document. They're attending the regular strategy team assembly, which is currently taking place right inside the main command office. Giant complains to Payan that the schedules of all major raids have been altered to align with the cleanup crew. He points out how suspicious this is, especially since Kim became the leader. Sweating profusely, the guy stammers that dungeon clears are still the main focus, but they must avoid overloading the schedule to keep the cleaners happy. A pink-haired hunter scoffs, arguing that if their job is literally to clean, they should just suck it up. He claims this special treatment is only because Kim has inside connections. Slamming his hand onto the table, another hunter shouts that none of this would be happening if they hadn't promoted someone so useless. Suddenly, Minju snaps, telling them she gets their concerns, but they're being incredibly petty. A rival hunter barks back, reminding her that sitting in this meeting doesn't give her actual power. Slapping several reports onto the table, she points out that their dungeon clear rate has actually skyrocketed by 30% compared to last month. Cutting her off, a woman asks how many issues they had across the last 100 completed dungeons. She quickly answers her own question, not a single one. She laughs at how ridiculous it is to complain about a highly competent leader, reminding them that they're all supposed to be on the same team. Furious, two hunters argue that it's still completely unfair, warning her she'll regret standing alone. If she wants to defend this setup, she'll have to handle every single problem entirely by herself. The other leaders quickly agree, declaring their teams will boycott all raids next week. They mockingly call it her golden opportunity to prove herself during the upcoming loop dungeon. Following their lead, the bosses of teams 5 and 8 also pull out. The assembly abruptly ends, leaving Minju and Payon in a massive, stressful bind. Suddenly, Donggu bursts through the door to apologize for the interruption, revealing that the United States branch is on the line, demanding to speak directly with Payan. Pion answers, explaining that the manager is currently out, but he can connect them with the actual decision-maker. Watching this, the other hostile hunters suddenly start feeling very uneasy. He smugly announces that the American branch wants to run a massive joint operation, but since everyone here just refused to work next week, he'll happily hand this prestigious task over to Team 2. Payan asks why they suddenly care now that the United States is involved. Lee agrees to let Team 2 handle it, but suggests a supervisor since loop dungeons are crazy. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see who gets picked. Let us watch as Minju quickly reads the room. The chairman agrees, immediately appointing Kim as the official supervisor. With nothing else on the agenda, he wraps up the assembly and dismisses everyone on the spot. Elsewhere, Kim questions Yubin about her performance. He wonders how an elite, former international hunter struggles so much clearing a simple blue-grade dungeon. If she actually used her unique abilities, there is no way the beast carcass would still be this pristine. Yubin argues that going all out makes the cleanup way too messy. But Kim shuts her down, explaining that efficiency rules in the field. In real combat, neutralizing the threat quickly always comes first, and you never compromise a raid just to make sweeping up easier. Right then, Yubin silently realizes she was dead wrong about him favoring the cleanup crew. Instead of offering her lunch, he cold-bloodedly demands she clean another dungeon before resting, leaving her absolutely boiling with rage. But before she can explode, Kim's phone starts ringing. A voice on the line identifies themselves as an agent from the American branch of the International Association. Excusing himself, Kim apologizes to Yubin, explaining that he has to take this urgent call and must depart immediately. Stepping away, Kim wonders what the Americans could possibly want. On the line, Jason reveals they have intelligence on a loop dungeon set to open in soon next week. Since these anomalies are rare in the West, he proposes a joint raid. Now pay attention here, a loop dungeon is incredibly dangerous because it resets time back to the very start of the battle. If you fail to slay the boss correctly, the loop repeats infinitely. This means hunters are trapped in an endless cycle of combat until they meet the exact hidden conditions. Having the American branch propose a joint mission seems suspicious. Suddenly, Kim recalls a bitter memory from his past life, remembering he received this exact same call before. Back then, the American team snatched the legendary time stone and fled, leaving the Sioux branch in absolute chaos. Our team took the entire blame for the messy operation, but walked away with barely any of the loot. Remembering this betrayal, Kim politely declines their offer, deciding to handle the raid solo. Taken aback, Jason says he understands the hesitation, but quickly adds a sweet detail he forgot to mention: the American branch is prepared to fund the entire mission. Smiling, Kim scoffs at this obvious attempt to bribe him, but his jaw drops when Jason offers $1 million. Shaking slightly, he realizes that is actually a massive amount of cash. Before agreeing, Kim checks Minju's message about the recent meeting. Realizing he has been appointed as the supervisor and only Team 2 is assigned, he concludes that joining forces with the Americans is his only real way out. Eyeing Yubin, Jason suggests it might be wise to bring along a reliable cleanup crew for this mission. Playing along perfectly, Kim assures him there is nothing to worry about since he has the ultimate team for the job. Grinning slyly, Jason thanks him and bids him farewell until next week. Kim figures he will have to put next week's cleanups on hold to coordinate with Team 6, but then he remembers Yubin's past employment with the American headquarters, meaning bringing her along might actually be a terrible idea. A week flies by, and the day of the joint raid finally arrives. We spot the Sioux team clad in matching black raincoats. They face the American squad, who also showed up wearing raincoats. Right behind them looms the giant, glowing portal of the loop dungeon. Standing completely unprotected from the weather, the cleanup crew wonders why everyone is so tense. Kim warns them that even veteran hunters dread loop dungeons, meaning there is absolutely no guarantee they will be escaping anytime soon. Hearing this, Sean panics and nudges Kim, whispering to stop terrifying the girl like that, especially with the elite American agents watching them closely. But Kim knows those Americans are the real threat, since they are clearly plotting something dirty. This place is so brutal it once drove an elite hunter completely mad after repeating the loop 1,400 times. Of course, that disaster happened before Kim figured out the trick to beating it. With the Americans breathing down his neck, Kim decides to let Minju lead the charge while he secretly plots to swipe the time stone himself. Suddenly, a figure steps up to him. I know what you were thinking, and yes, Yubin is furious. She only just realized this was a joint mission. Saying jokes, they are moving fast, while Sean tells them to flirt later. Facing the former hunter, Kim says he understands her anger, but they must see it through now, assuring her the Americans would not dare pull any stunt in a high-profile raid like this. Crossing her arms, Yubin warns that he has no clue what they are capable of. Kim quietly notes her hostility, but admits she's likely spot on. Those guys are absolutely scheming, and if things go south, the other team leaders will scapegoat the cleanup crew. He has to tread carefully to ensure his plans do not fall apart. Jason approaches Kim with a fake smile, introducing himself alongside Chloe, the support team manager. He warmly adds that he has heard incredible things about the young supervisor's talents. Playing it cool, Kim tells him it is mostly exaggeration. Jason then glances over at Yubin, casually asking how she is doing. Annoyed, she replies she is fine, but disappointed to see him here. Unfazed, Jason laughs and says he was delighted to hear she was joining the raid. The ex-hunter dryly shoots back that she is not thrilled about her new role, but a job is a job. Leaning in, Jason suggests they keep personal and professional matters strictly separate. He remarks that what happened with Angel was a complete disaster, but casually asks if she stole anything belonging to him when she quit. Yubin coldly replies that she took absolutely nothing. Smiling, the man promises they will catch up later. Walking off, Jason welcomes the raid party, then quietly commands Chloe to secure the time stone. He does not care how she handles it, as he will be busy retrieving their primary target file. Up ahead, Minju gathers the hunters to deliver her final briefing. She notes that despite their small numbers, clearing this dungeon should be a walk in the park if they stay focused. But since it is a loop-type zone, pacing is key because they have no clue how long they will be stuck inside. Everyone must conserve energy until they unravel the hidden rules. With preparations complete, the raid officially begins as the teams march through the swirling portal. Cut to 3 hours later, and the vanguard is already cheering after landing what seems like the finishing blow. Minju leads the charge, leaping high to strike a massive abomination sporting terrifying, human-like teeth. Mid-air, she triggers her signature skill, Divinity of 1,000 Arms, unleashing a devastating storm of heavy blows. As the beast collapses, she reports to Kim. He tells her to keep up the steady pace and save her mana, before asking Sang how the labyrinth mapping is progressing. The boy replies that everything is on track. Kim instructs him not to just map the main corridors, but to clearly mark every single room they have already cleared. Next, he tasks Sean with monitoring everyone's stamina and mental state whenever a time reset triggers, while ordering the immediate incineration of carcasses to keep the cleanup ahead of schedule. Turning to Yubin, Kim tells her to start mapping out the layout, pointing out that this should be easy for a former elite. She agrees, but dryly asks if that was not supposed to be his job. Kim grins, telling her there is no such luxury here. And that, my friends, is why he hates smart kids. All right, you and I are stepping right into the action, where Minju's team is pushing forward with backup from the Americans. Everything seems perfect, except for Jason. He keeps glancing back at the cleanup crew as if he's waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Our hero shrugs it off, figuring it's none of his business anyway. There's absolutely no way that guy is getting his hands on the time stone. A bit later, our main character asks Minju if she's cleared every single room. She nods, pointing to the final door. With a serious face, he realizes this has to be the boss room. Turning to the group, he announces that it is finally time to head inside. Blinding light floods from the doorway. They step through, but Minju quickly notes that the boss is nowhere to be found. With no response, she figures the signal in here must be too weak and tells everyone to stay alert. Suddenly, a massive spear comes soaring straight at them. As they scramble to dodge, debris goes flying in every direction from the sheer impact. Looking up, one young hunter realizes they are in serious trouble. Before he can even react, the monster swings its massive weapon and strikes him with a devastating, crushing blow. Next thing we see, the poor hunter is hanging impaled on the boss's giant spear, while the creature roars in fury. Outside the room, the backup crew only hears heavy thudding. Out there, Jason grows anxious, knowing he needs to grab the file before time runs out. But Kim is watching him closely, keeping a strict eye on his every move. Grabbing his radio, our main character asks Minju for a quick status report. Suddenly, a loud blast echoes, and Team 2 reports they've successfully finished the subjugation. Now watch closely here. Our main character immediately spots a hunter looking completely pale, a sure sign of disaster. He rushes in, only to find a brutal war zone covered in devastating casualties. The sight leaves everyone completely speechless. Our main character calls out to Minju, who turns around trembling with shock. She throws herself into his arms, crying that everything happened too fast to stop it. Gritting his teeth, Kim realizes he underestimated Team 2 because he was too focused on the suspicious American branch. Suddenly, a system message pops up showing they failed to meet the subjugation conditions. There are only 5 seconds left before the loop resets. Everyone stares in absolute despair, but Kim remains completely calm. A blinding blue light flashes, and we quickly learn that Shan and Quinwee did not survive. Everyone silently gathers around the fallen hunters, except for Minju. She feels deeply responsible for their deaths. Meanwhile, our hero realizes even the Americans did not expect this, judging by the emergency meeting they are holding. All non-essential staff are sent away, leaving only Team 2. Physically and mentally, they are in no condition to fight again, with Minju taking the deaths of her friends the hardest of all. Kneeling beside her, Kim refuses to let her carry this heavy burden alone. He offers to teach her a skill, asking what she wants to learn. And trust me, her expression is pure darkness as she asks him how to make that monster suffer. She wants to abuse this time loop for absolute revenge. Kim flicks her forehead and tells her to stop making that scary face. He tells her she does not need revenge, she needs a strategy to beat this dungeon. She needs to calm down and analyze the battle like a proper leader. Minju takes a breath and notes the first boss glowed blue, while the second glowed red. Since nothing else seemed unusual, Kim points out that the second monster also flashed red right when it died. He concludes these colored lights are not random, and the blue glow is likely the key to beating this dungeon. Minju realizes that both bosses must be killed at the exact same time, thanking Kim for the brilliant insight. Taking charge, she rallies the hunters to draft a new strategy. She announces they will split into two separate teams to take down both bosses simultaneously. Since their communication signal will drop the moment a boss appears, both teams must strike at the exact same moment. She reassures them that with the Americans helping, they can pull this off. Still, it does not hurt to hope they all make it out alive this time. Stepping up to Kim, she asks if Yubin will be safe. Apparently, Jason specifically requested Yubin for his squad, claiming no one else has her incredible level of talent. Kim tried to stop it, but the girl accepted the assignment anyway, wanting to help her team. Kim tells Minju she should focus on her own safety instead. Yubin is incredibly strong, so Minju needs to make sure she does not let her guard down. Secretly, our main character only allowed this because he wants to expose Jason's hidden motives once and for all. Back in the dungeon, the red glowing boss aggressively attacks Minju, while Kim commands the rest of the hunters to ready their support skills. The hunters unleash their powerful skills, bombarding the beast that seems completely intent on killing everyone in sight. Minju fearlessly charges forward with everything she has, but our hero instantly senses their damage output is way too low. Suddenly, Minju gets blown back violently, terrifying her allies. Even though she barely avoided the direct strike, the blow was not fatal. But unfortunately, the boss locks its gaze entirely on her. As she falls, Kim suddenly unleashes a wave of fire, catching her while blocking the monster's massive fist. Minju is completely stunned by his incredible speed. Our main character barks at her to grab her weapon and finish this herself, because the rest of the team will not survive a drawn-out fight. The young woman cries out that she cannot even move her arm. Looking at her intently, the boy asks why she trained so hard to build her left-hand grip, if not for this exact moment to protect her friends. He knows this level of strength would have been impossible for the pre-regression Minju. But she is no longer the weak girl from before. Having unlocked her legendary Blade Dancer ability, she is now a perfectly ambidextrous swordmaster. And that's where we leave it. Make sure to hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time on Tob's channel.